order of general operations on Monday, May the 5th at 6 p.m. Commissioner Jones, would you mind saying anything?
Dear Jesus, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us all to come here together tonight, Lord, and do the county's business. Help us all to have clear minds and make good choices for the citizens of this county. Amen.
Amen. All right, we'll have our motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones, motion by Commissioner Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approval of minutes. Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Holmes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, carried. Recognition of the public. First up, Mr. Jim Latimer. State your name and address for the record, sir. You know the routine. 5 minutes.
Jim Latimer, 1578 Latimer Lane, Hendersonville, Tennessee. I'm here to say thank you to everyone who's helped get this pushed further along down the road and everything. And hopefully we'll get some good information tonight to hear about the house and it can be preserved like it should be. Not anything for our family, but as an artifact of the frontier of Sumner County. So it's a very interesting place, and thank you for your consideration in this project.
Thank you. All right. Next up is Mr. Mike McClard.
Mike McClard, 102 Teoka Trail, Hendersonville. I'm going to read the causal part. I'm not going to read that. I just, and not a lot. You'll get a whole lot of 5 minutes back. I'll defer to somebody else. I just want to thank Mr. Klein for taking his last Friday, this past Friday, to go down there with the gentleman and do this. They were down there all day. I was a little concerned they weren't going to get out. It started raining. I'm not sure how they got in there to start with, much less how they got out after the roads got wet. But as Mr. Jim said, hopefully we can get this pushed on down the road and get some good information. He sent me a little email, and a lot of it I didn't understand, but I'm not a construction person. So anyway, but thank you, Mr. Klein, and thank this committee.
Thank you. All right. Please, comments?
Wait, isn't there one more?
You want me to say it? I can ramble on.
All right, before the chairman, I would just say, I was looking through this voluminous package that we have tonight with all these attachments, and just reminded just of why I got elected, was to maximize our tax dollars to the full extent, and to safeguard Sumner County against tax increases, and also to help protect as much as possible and inoculate current residents from irresponsible growth or rezonings. And so it's always been an objective of mine, and I know in GenOps, the things that we're dealing with, and the things on this agenda, stuff that we see fall out from overdevelopment that exists, flooding stuff 10 years ago. And even the things dealing with how to stretch a dollar the best we can. And so just encourage us to always keep that in mind as we make decisions, like what is the best fiduciary responsibility we can make short and long term for the taxpayers. So just wanted to do it. I was ruminating over that and just wanted to remind us of why we're here. So for the taxpayers. So without further ado, that's all I have. Report the Finance Director for capital projects and ARPA updates. Mr. Shamrock, the floor is yours.
So for the Westmoreland gas station, we finally got back from the state fire marshal. So they issued their notice to proceed. They're supposed to start before the 19th. So that's good. Oak Grove Fire Department, they got the foundation poured and installed the drain tile, so that one's still going on nice and smooth. No real issues yet.
Is there any cost overages on this?
No.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yes.
Hey, stay prepared for the chaos.
Like Mo said, you could build a pole barn for $20,000. You can build a pole barn with an architect and engineer in here for $150,000, and that's what turned into $1.3 million. But I digress. Just making sure we're not going over on top of it.
For the Brown House, we worked with Chris. Everything's executed on that part. as you know, they went out this past week. They got a little bit more work. He said he's gonna go out potentially this week to finish up. But that's kind of where that stands for right now. Franklin Street, we made pretty good progress there. I sent the contracts over to LNG this past week. They sent it back signed and everything. Have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow morning with them and Gallatin and the architect, so we can all get on the same page so we can start. There shouldn't be any issues starting from what Gallatin told me last week, so we should be able to just jump right on this.
Scott, we were waiting on the water connection in Water Street. Is that done now?
According to Gallatin, it is.
Okay.
Or at least they're far enough up the road that we can start.
No, we want to start at Water Street and go back, no?
I'll find out tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll just skip the courtroom when we talk about it, and then, the sweep stuff. The state actually reached out to the mayor's office this morning. I guess previously, some milestones weren't met in the smart simple. We're working on getting all that caught up now, but we have a meeting with the state on Thursday to make sure that we have all the present documentation that's needed to resolve that.
So, question on that, so you said that, to the previous grant analyst, did not set his dates in 2023?
Correct.
So like 2 years old. Quick question, Commissioner Moss was asking me about some water lines there in Westmoreland.
Some additional water lines?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got all that. We're just in the middle of trying to fix everything on the initial, but I have it on my.
So the Westmoreland ones, the one got caught up in this?
Yes. Both the Westmoreland and Portland lines
Is that
are in the middle of all this.
So I think that the previous grant administrator did not do the documentation correctly 2 years ago. So that, when we were talking previously about the holdup, like what, supposed to be done 2 years ago, and then last year, and then this year, like what's happening? His report's basically saying it's because they're having to fix mistakes that were made that the state kind of rejected, and having to come back from 2 years ago, mistakes that were made with the previous grant administrator, I guess was Northleaf, so, and we're having to clean that mess up, so.
Is that why it ran $1.5 million over budget?
I can't attest to that.
Because of time?
Huh?
Because of time?
Well, or, the previous grant writer. I still don't know exactly why we ran over budget, 15, 18%.
You're talking about that, when we had to use the federal funds to cover the overages, when we voted on that last
Right,
month?
right.
I think that was 1.5,
1.5, I thought. It was substantial.
correct.
Because it started at 8 million, right, Scott? Wasn't it an $8 million grant?
Yeah.
And we had to
1.8.
kick in another $1.5 million to finish it.
Fed money.
You talking about the stuff that we just did?
The SWIC.
That was that was the 1.8 that we got.
Right.
That was that was an additional given from the state.
Given from the state.
ARPA, right? Leftover ARPA money?
No, it wasn't ARPA.
Okay, somebody told me.
There's sweep.
Terry?
Is this for the water line going to Pea Ridge and Carter Ridge State?
I've had this. I'll have to look and see.
There was 4 streets in Westmoreland and then 3 items in
Yeah,
Portland.
at least for Westmoreland, on the list a long time.
This is 2 streets.
Okay. All right, that's not disappointing to hear, but thank you guys for getting it on the right tracks.
Can you find that out and put it in an email or something to Commissioner Moss and do a copy of it? That way he'll have the information we know too.
You skipped the courtroom.
You don't.
Yeah, we're
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
That's part of the remodel.
And then our broadband grant, we only had one contractor bid it, it was CE&C. So we're working on doing it as a sole source rather than RFP process. And then the hollows, I talked with Marshall today, said the work has been delayed a little bit by NES because they're in the middle of relocating the electric service lines. Once they get through that approval process that they have to go through, which should happen in the next 1 to 2 weeks, and finish, and then once they finish, it's 7 to 8 weeks to finish the work.
Completion date, 7 to 8 weeks.
after the work is done, after the relocation is complete.
That's the 1 to 2 weeks? So 10 weeks-ish we're looking at?
That's how I interpret it.
Weather permitting.
10 weeks, weather.
You're looking at it in July, realistically, Commissioner Funk.
Will you go into a little, what's sole source? Does that mean they bid it and they have a fixed price, or does it change the system?
So their price shouldn't change from what they bid, it's just changing like the paperwork that goes with it.
You know, this is really common. We've got to get more bidders on this stuff because, I mean, representing the people, I would never go with just one price, ever, ever, ever. And so, I don't know how we go about doing that.
Well, one of the problems was like on this one and a couple of the others is the time constraints that we've had. So getting this out to bid as quickly as possible so we don't have it out to bid for a month.
We're back on broadband?
Yeah.
I think the broadband one was 3 weeks it was out, I believe. It was between 2 and 4 weeks because the timeline that they had built in was till I think it's the middle of next year is when it ends. So he's trying to maximize the amount of time that the Wi-Fi would be available to Portland. So we had to get it out as quickly as possible.
Okay, but
Because we have to do an amendment to reallocate the funds to different lines.
I'm guessing CEMC is probably not the most cost-effective way to go. I mean, they're a big organization.
I think debatable.
Well, and
all the polls are from CEMC, and they lease out their polls per poll, not.
right. But we'll never know because we only had one bidder. So.
I want to understand this, that going to what you said, I think it's kind of designed that way. Cumberland Connect's been going through the county for the last 2 years, putting up those boxes to prep for this. Everybody else will be way behind the game if they even tried this, so that probably explains the sole bidder. Yeah, if you drive through Henderson and you see those black boxes with the coil of fiber optics that's sitting there waiting, they're the ones doing all that. I mean, they own it.
Okay, well, maybe that's why nobody else did it, because
They can't.
And all
I
those people
mean,
have to go through CMC to.
and it's
use
been
their
years in the making, and so it's just a monopoly. I don't think there's an option to get anybody else to bid it by design.
That may be, I don't know, I was just asking the question.
No, that's
Right.
right or wrong, it doesn't seem right, but it is what it is.
I have a question. I was asked, when you go past Long Hollow Baptist Church on, I think it's on the right, there's a huge hole over in there, and they asked me, I don't know what it was. I don't know, there's like a big hole. Do we know, is there something going on there, like a project?
Talking about the field where they park?
No, on the other side.
I don't know anything about it.
There's a big hole out there. I didn't know if they were,
I mean, it's Long House campus.
it's the opposite side of the road.
Across the street?
Yes.
That's the Hollows, right?
Just the hall, is that the hall?
I've never seen a big hole in my drive past us.
I think she's talking about the field. Across from the parking lot. She's talking about the field that's across from the parking lot. So they
Where
just
the
said there's a
fireworks
big
stand
hole.
is.
I haven't seen it. Yeah. Drive through there. I didn't know, I didn't notice it today. I don't look, so I asked. Yeah, well, have you seen it?
Yeah.
So that's what they're talking about.
Okay, I'm not.
Crater.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So is it like something that we need to worry about, a crater?
There's a meteor in space, came through last week.
Okay, I'm just asking, because they were asking me, so I don't
I
know.
knew where it's at. I'll go look at it. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Any more questions for Scott for his report?
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott.
All right. County Mayor is not here.
Does he have a report?
Nope. Old business, 9A, historic Latimer Brown House restoration. Make a motion for discussion.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Moss. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Klein, I know that, maybe you want to go ahead and just suspend the rules and have,
Yeah.
Chris come on.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules
Mr.
for
Klein,
Chris
suspend the
Coker
rules,
to
second by Mr.
explain the
Miller.
rules.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Mr. Coker, would you mind coming up and just, you stand right over here, actually, closer to the.
Okay, so everybody,
Well, you can if you want to, you can sit it. If you like to, you can sit at the table if you like to, that's fine.
yeah, you can sit here if you want.
That's easier.
Might pick him up.
So I handed out, a floor plan, which was just pretty much a rough sketch of the Latimer Brown house. And I don't think we encountered anything we thought we'd encounter. And Chris will go into that in great detail. I was his grunt for the day, and, he's the brains behind the thing, so go ahead, Chris, take it.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Chris Coker. I'm a licensed contractor, and I specialize in historic preservation. And I want to thank each one of you here for having me and discussing the Latimer Brown house. It's an absolutely beautiful house. As David said, we went out last Friday and did an inspection on pre-approval, and I'd like to go over just briefly, just a rundown of what we found by floor, and we'll start from underneath the house. So I've got some just bullet points for my inspection report, and I'll keep it simple. Underneath the house has possible 3 additions, which we found.
Yeah, let me explain what this drawing is. A is the original, log area. B is what we call the dining room. They opened up an 11-foot wide passage in the logs. They just took the logs out and built that dining room. Straight behind that is a 20 by 20 kitchen area.
That's C.
At C. And then D is what I call the laundry area.
Mudroom.
Yeah, mudroom. And so Chris will reference the different areas. So he's first talking about A, which is the log area.
So underneath the original part of the house, guys, when you crawl underneath it, when you have a 1780-ish house, you're expecting to see beams. That was not present. So something has been done to the first floor. Maybe Latimer knows. Is there a Brown here from the family? Okay, that's okay. So there's a couple of surprises underneath the house right off the bat. There's been work done to Part A, which is the original log house, on the first floor system. The first floor system is not original to the house, but it's in good condition. So the first floor, we discovered, however they did it, there's a concrete foundation poured underneath the house. And there's 3 sets of 8 by 12 concrete piers that, you know, your main beams sit on. So that was a surprise. So going underneath the house and crawling around, very wet, mold underneath the house, not the end of the world. You can see under B. So B here. B is now we're kind of in the back side of the house. So B, when you're walking inside, is a step down. I think David's got a 4-inch step down. So underneath the house is what you would expect to see from a 1700s log house. You've got hand-hewn beams underneath there, and they're sitting on rock piers. And you're going, where did this come from? So that's about a 10, this B section is about a 10 by 20.
Yeah.
But the logs that I could see, about every 2 foot, which is typical, I could physically see at least 6 logs deep. So B probably extends into C a little bit.
So B was on the original log foundation and stones, and A actually was somehow elevated.
It's either elevated or
it was
concrete foundation somewhere.
How long? I can't tell, but I mean, any guesstimation on when somebody could have done a concrete foundation with concrete pillars, like technology-wise?
It looks like the old concrete where they throw in bricks and whatever they can for filler. So the foundation underneath the logs around is very old. But under B, we think that's the oldest floor in the house. And we were not able, because we got rained out, it started coming down pretty good around noon. We started at 9, we finished up about 4:30, and we were able to get out. But we think the oldest floor is under B. We couldn't get under C and we couldn't see much because the air conditioning and heating duct is so intensive getting through that area that that's one of the reasons Chris and I want to go back, is tear out all of that rusted duct from the late 60s, early 70s, and see what we find under C, because C may be as old a floor as under B. We just don't know. We can tell you that the wood framing of the walls is identical in C and B.
Okay, so it's still time period possibly from 1700 or 1800s, or probably 1800s.
Probably 1800.
Added on.
Yeah.
But as far as you're saying, that when you're talking about A having a concrete base, materials, I mean, is that 1865 they could have done that, or is that 1920? I mean, with like doing that kind of
If I had to
Rick
guess,
and Morty.
probably the turn of the century.
okay.
You could see where they didn't use today's forms. It was like 1x6s, nailed together with some uprights, and then they would pour the concrete. And so when you tore the forms off, you obviously see where. So that's old framing for concrete. But like David said, it's just kind of a hodgepodge of concrete. And the fireplace had a concrete base to it. It's a lot of work done to either raise it up and do all that dig out for the piers that were underneath there. Very interesting. Caught us off guard for sure. Or they could have been brought in from somewhere. Which, it's a possibility.
We were talking about it this morning. We're thinking they must have lifted the entire log house up, removed the floor. Maybe it was rotted out or whatever. And it's wet enough under. I mean, we were sliding around in mud under the house.
Is there a spring under there?
Is it wet?
Is there a spring under
I don't
there?
think there
I don't think there is, no.
It's just leaking.
just wet. And then they poured this foundation and then set the house back down and built the floor. Because the timbers were buzzsawn. They weren't hand hewn like in the B area where those beams were hand hewn. This was newer. It was 3/4 inch underlayment, and it was very different.
Obviously, that A being the oldest part of the house, there were steps taken to
Law-wise, yeah.
restore it in some fashion because the foundation was wrong.
For me, it doesn't make, it's hard to, it doesn't make sense. Why would you take out all the logs in this original side of the house and replace it with a turn-of-the-century wood? And it's not even true 2x, which you would see in a typical old house. It's, I mean, it's
Inch and a
it's
quarter.
thinner stuff. It's really odd. So that was a surprise, but
Is it pine or is it like a oak?
It's, I don't even know.
That would, because I have a lot of old houses that I renovate, and the older houses have, oak, hard oak, and the newer ones are pine. And they're, the new wood is not even as same as the old.
yeah.
So I wondered if it maybe.
There was a lot of mold on those joists, so it's kind of
You
hard
can't
to
find out
tell.
once you get them together.
I see, go ahead.
Could you tell from looking at the walls underneath how much of the exterior of the house was log? Because we can't see because the brick, only from the inside.
You
can
have a
see.
log seal all the way around it, if that's what you're.
So behind that brick is logs all the way around this house.
Oh,
No, only the perimeter of A. It's 20 by 30.
That's log.
That's
That's
log.
all logs.
Okay, so do you know the exterior of the house here?
Yeah.
What is this?
Well, the framing is 4x4s at 24 on center with lead-in cross braces. There was a
With what cross brace?
diagonal cross braces for strength.
Okay.
It actually reminded me of some of the German construction I've seen from 100+ years ago. But we found two kinds of siding on the outside, and it was on the outside of the logs as well as on the outside of the wood framing in B and C. And it was a 1 by kind of a detailed bead, more like a 1 by 8, wasn't it, Chris?
Yes, sir.
And then on top of that was a white almost asbestos.
Asbestos siding, which is typical 30s and 40s.
Yeah, you gotta take that out.
Well, I think it was mostly gone anyway, because when they put the bricks on, they may have taken a lot of that off. Not sure, because the bricks are still there. We only explored that one area that was cut out on the north side of the house.
So what's the oldest that anything poured concrete could be in America?
It was
Oh, in America?
invented by,
Yeah.
The
Thomas
Roman,
I know, it's way back hundreds and thousands of years ago. Greeks had concrete too, but.
that was in the 1800s.
if I had to do an educated guess, I would say 20s and 30s.
1920s for concrete?
More
Well, for this house.
No, I'm saying potential for concrete in America, period, to have concrete poured somewhere or made somewhere on a house.
Well, when were the dams, what was my time?
30s.
Yes.
Well, we've got a building on the square, and we think it's anywhere between 1880 and
All right,
1900.
we're getting off on this topic, sorry, Tim, but that kind of derailed everybody's thinking.
No, my point of getting at that is you're going by typical construction, and I want to know what the possibility of having concrete there from the beginning. Is it possible that there was concrete in 1796 poured underneath that house? Is that even possible?
I guess we.
It's not, it may not be what typical is, but maybe they had a way to do it, since you can't explain how it got there. Maybe it was original.
Well, and you,
I'm just offering it out there.
if you go to, Foxland, and you go to the old homes over there, they have concrete, and they were built in the 1700s, so it's a possibility. Concrete then, I mean, they used it.
Oh, yeah.
They just made it a different way. They don't have the trucks, they just mix certain.
This is something to consider. When you go back, look for signs of possibility.
What we can tell you is the roof structure above B and C is consistent from front to back. And it's hand-hewn rafters. And the ceiling is 4-bys that are about 24 on center, running side to side, all the way back to the end of the house. So originally I was thinking B was maybe an interim addition, but after looking at it, and Chris and I have talked about this till we're blue in the face trying to figure out this puzzle. But we'll know when we go under C, when we go under the floor, we'll know exactly what we're dealing with at that point.
What's gonna drive the direction, I think, besides the ad hoc of this committee and where we go with the house, is gonna be how much we'd have to change to make it all historical. So I think focusing on what the outside, if it's logs all the way around, it may be.
I'm gonna reel you in right there. For one, just keep in mind, when we say historical, we're seeing that roughly because thankfully we're not sitting on a registry. We're not using a grant, so we're able to restore it using modern techniques to bring the spirit of what it is. So keep that in mind as well, as far as like aesthetics, like how can we do that. It's not like we're having to use like the nails from 1790 and the same hammering method, which if you use the grant, they make you do that. I mean, this kind of stuff. So just, it's an historic, I would say an historic preservation. I would use that loosely as far as languages, so we clarify that, because we're not under any restrictions or guidelines. You know, the goal is we got a limited budget. We got $587,000 that we know of to renovate this house as a centerpiece of a park. Put a bench out there, you got parks and flowers on the property.
Let's let Chris finish,
Yeah,
because that'll help you, because we're gonna have to make some decisions either at this level or the ad hoc.
Correct.
And what he's going to continue to tell us.
A, concrete, B, you got the beams, floor,
It's all different underneath, and you can see typical of an old house, different additions in different time periods. We'll put it that way. Is there certain dates? I don't know. You can just see different additions based upon the floor joists and whatnot underneath there. So, but B is typical 1700s construction. You have hand-hewn beams. Why is that just right in the middle? I don't know. But for me, it was cool. It was really neat to see. I was expecting to see that under all the bay, and it wasn't there. So, So that's you guys are getting the idea, and hopefully a visual of the conditions underneath the house. It's not the end of the world. It just needs, the house in general just needs some love. And it's a typical old house, you know, and it's exciting. For me, it's exciting. So let's go inside the house. Inside the house will be the first and second floor. And it's, David and I, like Scott said, we spent all day there. So we removed carpet. No original floors in A. Best we could tell, in B, from underneath the house, you have true 1-inch thick hardwood. And that would have been an original floor. Everywhere else is 3/4 inch subfloor per se. But in B, partway in C, you have true 1-inch. And then you have plywood plywood on top of that, and then you had strips of.
Yeah, the plywood was upstairs, but we had 2 1/4 inch oak strip.
And that's throughout the entire
Throughout the
downstairs.
entire
Yeah.
first floor, which really surprised us when we pulled up the carpet.
So removing the floor, mostly on the first floor, some upstairs, we uncovered the pre-existing conditions of the floor, which are fine. There's just, A's not original, B's possibly original, C and D are not original.
How about upstairs?
I'm getting there.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if you, when you say A's not original, you mean the floor?
The first floor, first floor.
The actual flooring.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. So the second floor, we removed some carpet, and if you can see, if you can envision, from the first floor, you see exposed beams, and then you see tongue and groove, 8-inch wide with a little beadboard. So I ran into a lot of that when I did a restoration project at Rosemont, 1840s, 1830s. So is that original to the house? Possibly so. We have to further investigate that to see if that is original, because if it is, obviously, I want to leave it. But the second floor is in good condition. The overall house is in pretty good condition. So outside of that, I was on the first floor, he was on the second floor. We're removing sections of wall to get to the original logs, which was exciting. So you have several layers of wall through different time periods, and you see the wallpaper, which is, for me, is really cool. So getting to the actual logs itself was really neat. You've got logs like this throughout the first floor and the second floor.
Yeah.
And they're hand hewn and they're beautiful. I'm getting chills. They're beautiful. I wish we could say what's the exterior look like, but we couldn't remove the bricks because Mother Nature wouldn't allow us. And that's hopefully I can go out there later this week and next week and start investigating that to see, because I want to see what the exterior looks like. I figured the inside would be pretty, and it is, and I can't wait till it shows itself off again, because that's an ooh and ah deal when people walk in, and especially the 16, 18-inch, dovetail beams. That's just craftsmanship of early America and how early America was built with your hands. So outside of all that, I'll go into the attic now. So the attic, like David was saying, the entire B, C, and D, when you go in the attic, is all the same framing. And so it's not, when I did plywood, it was all pegged together, and it was Roman numerals, which was really cool. But that's 1800. But this particular one, it's hard to tell. It's not, in my opinion, it's not the best craftsmanship. You don't have a ridge board. You got the rafters physically tying into each other, and they're nailed with round nails. But you have pegs, and some of the underneath of the rafters, and there are some hand hewn. So it's kind of, what's going on? What's going on? So when you, I don't mean to be all over the place, but when you see B underneath the house and you have what I think is original logs, but you go in the attic and you have this one huge addition, is all the same rafters. It's trying to put the puzzle together, which is fine, but it's just, just need time to put it together so we can be as historically correct as possible. And we can leave on to the house B, possibly take C and D off, or we can leave it all. And that just takes further investigation on both of our parts. But the attic was, nothing massive. There's a split unit up there.
We didn't go in the attic above A because there was shelving that had to all be removed out of a closet, and we were just.
And it was just a 2x2 typical hole. You know, back then in the attics, a lot of times you didn't really need to get in the attic. You had barns to hang ham in or whatever, garden stuff for the cellar, root cellars as they call them. But the attic was really nothing spectacular. So that's kind of got some other notes. That's kind of the gist of it, and I hope you guys can get a feel and a visual of the pre-existing conditions. Going forward, obviously we need some further inspections. I personally, David and I talked about it, based upon the what we saw underneath and what you guys kind of have a visual of. I think for down the road purposes, once we're all said and done, I think A and B are definitely a keepable solution. I think B, there again, it could be, once we do further inspections, we can say, hey, we've got more logs in C than what we thought about, than what we could see. But for wedding venues, for stuff that people want to come in and use the house on the weekends or during the week, we could easily provide a bathroom and a small kitchen for those, to accommodate those people in the public that want to use the house. You know, do we want to spend the money to demo C and D? In my opinion, if it gets us to the original, then yes. Because William Brown said, I want it restored. And restored can be thrown around and used a lot of different ways, but for me, it means getting back to original. And that's why I do what I do.
I will clarify just for everybody listening, you mentioned wedding venue. There's no plans to turn this into a wedding venue for any public profit or anything like that, or use. It'd be, I guess, personally, I see this almost like the bridal house, how it's used, as far as like, you know,
that's what I was
limited use for events or period. I guess probably I might recaption this to be period restoration versus historic restoration. I think period is probably more accurate. You're probably going to get in trouble with language. And going to what you're saying, I agree. It's like, and you know, I know we're doing an ad hoc. I want to get feedback from the family members in the community, but I feel like going back to a true period restoration of what it was, as close as possible, would be the goal, because that really showcases the crown jewel of, I think, the oldest house in Sumner County.
And I think it needs to be showed off.
So, but you know, but we'll discuss that. What you know, family members want to do, or the public, you know, how to do that. But I think going back to original footprint personally. Is that I agree with that. Commissioner Jones.
I was taking notes on some of the comments you made with regard to structure, and you just suggested possibly maybe disregarding C or D. Could you explain what it was about those two rooms that were where you might make that decision?
For me, it did not have a feel of originality.
Because underneath of it, from what you saw, looked more modern?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
More modern looking structure under the footings or the support beams?
The floor, what I call the floor joist system.
Floor, okay.
Yeah.
Two things I'd like to ask or suggest. One would be possibly get vintage pictures from the family to kind of show what they use, if they have any. I don't know.
Nothing.
And the second thing is, is when they do the restoration, a lot of the old homes, when you use it for educational reasons, to show the historical vintage, to show at least one little section of the wall where you go through the wallpaper and you start showing the piece of where you see the logs, to show, because there may be wallpaper in there from a really long time ago that you can't get anymore, and show that so that the county residents can see the history of how it transformed itself and then where you got some come back. Would that be
those are things that I think are important to a restoration, because every old house has a story to tell.
Right.
And I tell people, you just have to be patient enough to listen to the house.
True.
And it will reveal secrets, it will reveal things, and it will tell you, I know this sounds silly, but it will tell you which direction to go. You'll uncover windows that were covered up, you'll uncover doors, so then all of a sudden your game plan changes. But yes, we're saving wallpaper as we speak.
Well, I asked that because I always consider that a talking house, and so, or a building when you're doing restoration, because I know from the old homes that I've restored, that I've inquired, the biggest thing is just that beautiful wood and the stuff that you find, and for children to learn about history, not just about, you know, revolution and all that, but about the history and the build structure and how you did it, just as an educational purpose, because that could benefit the county down the road for, in money, grants, things like that, to get additional grants for education purposes, to build the life back of the home, but to show the history of it and how it transformed.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I just asked that.
Thank you, Mayor, that's a good point. Any other, like, as far as you guys report, like, let me keep, I'm gonna interrupt you.
No, you're fine. The exterior obviously is all brick. We never did get into the investigating that because of the rain, but we did see, you know, where somebody had cut out a 2x2 section. I took that off, and then you could see, you know, lap siding originally, and then the siding. You saw the asbestos siding on there, so that tells me, especially the lap siding is very turn of the century, Victorian age. So I'm hoping that the logs are in really good condition, and that there was not a reason for them to cover it up. It was just the changing of the times. So, but we'll see on further investigation. Other than that, you know, things, the porch columns need to come off, the front needs to come off, the exposed aggregate porch needs to come off. You know, I'd love to eventually see some, you know, hand-cut stones for steps going up to the front entry. That would be wonderful. That's very time period. Other than that, that's, for me, that's kind of the lowdown, the dirty of our inspection of a one day. So there's a lot to unpack, obviously, but there's still a lot to do. And I know there's a short time in doing it, so.
Upstairs, there are 4 windows currently, but they're not in the original locations of the windows. When we were pulling the wall back, especially on the front wall, we found that there were smaller windows inside closer. I'm a little concerned about the opening between A and B, because you can see upstairs how the floor drops, and we're talking about jacking them up very slowly to see how the house reacts, because one of the wall on the side of the fireplace, they had to fur out the wall starting at 6 inches at the bottom down to nothing. So that wall is leaning 6 inches, and I think it's being pulled by that 4, but we don't know. It could have been built that way. Some of the cool things, when I was pulling off baseboard, like in the kitchen, I pulled off baseboard, and there was a credit card sized calendar from 1971 that fell out. This was really strange. On the logs of the front of the house, second floor, there was all this newspaper that looked like it was varnished onto the logs. And the newspaper was the Nashville Methodist from 1891. I got a picture.
And that is something we definitely were going to say.
Absolutely.
David said, let's tear it off. I said, really? I wouldn't tear that off. That is a wonderful talking point of how logs were insulated back then. You typically see newspapers, you know, scrunched up around windows and doorways. Here you have walls of wallpaper. And so as simple as it may be, it keeps drafts from coming in. and it, you know, I wouldn't say it insulates the house, but, it was 1892, that was pretty cool. I've never seen a newspaper that old.
Yeah.
Probably not a liberal rag run either.
So,
Overall condition of the house, I would say, you know, there's things that need to be done to the logs where some ding-dong went in and oversized the windows with the chainsaw, and they did not properly support the logs. And so when we're opening walls, I'm seeing logs like this, they're in and out, and so it's sad to see that somebody just goes in and cuts openings in with a chainsaw and just doesn't worry about the log, didn't worry about the logs. So those are some, you know, things that need to be fixed. I would have a hard time leaving those. There's concrete chinking that's gone in a lot of places, so outside of that, I'd say 75% of the house is really good. I really would. You have, in my opinion, you have good bones, like everybody says, to build upon. It just needs love. Like every old house, it just needs some love. And that's typical. We have to decide, you know, are we doing a true restoration, or are we just doing something to, you know, I should say half-ass, but if it were, I would not do it. But we don't need to use square nails.
No.
You don't need to go that far. But I personally would like to just see the house exposed inside and out, fix the settling issue in between A and B. There's a big opening, and you have a log going across, and you literally have 5 floor joists resting on it. Well, 100 years later, guess what? It looks like a big smiley face. And in C, upstairs, it's taken a wall with it. That's got to be fixed. So those are, in my opinion, minor. It's all a state, you know, it all depends on how you look at it. It's life in general. It's definitely doable, and it's going to be beautiful once it's done. And everybody in this room and in the county will be just oohing and on wanting to see it. And that's my end goal. It's not about me, it's about the house.
Yep.
well,
And it's about each and every one of y'all in here wanting to preserve it, because you see so many times, let's just knock it down and put whatever. Look at the Bradford Berry house.
yeah, and there's
My gosh.
sad, what a disaster.
My gosh. And that is a 1794 house, one of the first settlers in Sumner County. So anyways, outside of that, I'm tickled that, Mr. Brown's family did leave us some money, because that's a rarity.
So as far as, I know you did an inspection on Friday, next steps, so I was trying to get to a point where we've got, here's option A, B, or A, B, and C, and here's the cost estimates for those, because in order to push this forward, obviously we have a procurement process for anything under 10,000. It doesn't have to have a estimate or bid necessarily, but 10 to 24,099 needs like 3 estimates, and then anything over $25,000 can be bid out as far as that process. So just trying to, like, what kind of stages we're getting into, like, obviously where we want to get to, and we'll probably do it ad hoc after this, you know, next week maybe or something, and thinking about that, there's an ad hoc to, whenever we can get to the point of like, here are some options here as quickly as possible of when can we start having that option A is that it is, we're going to do A and B section of the house. Option B is we're going to do A, B, C, and that's option B, you know, second thing. Yeah, always going to come down to, you know, time and money, you know, on anything. It's just like in what constitutes being like as close to period as possible, I think, as well, aesthetically, and like going to the true foundation. So if it's A and B and it's not C and D, then that, you know, everybody might be more amenable to like, hey, let's strip it down
And we need to do more gutting of the house to determine that.
So that's kind of getting my next
That'll
steps.
be our next steps.
So, you know, when can that happen, I guess, or what's required, just because obviously the rain and it was bad weather, you weren't able to really complete the exploration. So I think you said you're going out again next week or later this week?
I'm planning on, I've got a project over at Bledsoe Historical Park for Jane and David Wright. Thursday, possibly Friday, and then I could full-time, if that's permissible, full-time.
Well,
But that's,
no, we only approved the budget for
I know.
2000. That's all we got, so, but the process goes, it's gotta go to the committee, and it goes to the full commission. So it's not going to the full commission on June 17th, it's gonna be June 30th, before we get, a full commission approval on appropriations to do large things. So the question is, how much can we, understand of what's gonna be needed to start moving forward, with this project, so.
With the allotted money that we've already done, right? Or are we done?
I understand your question.
We didn't use it all up.
We know, that was strictly for the inspection.
Can you get to where he's saying within the amount
Within
of
the
$2,000? Can you come back with that? That's, I think, where you were going with that. How much can you get done with that amount of money, and can you get it in that period of time?
Well, I'm really
within the next
cheap,
2
so-
weeks, right?
Well, the thing is,
I wanna know, like, we've only appropriated X amount of dollars, so do we have to appropriate more dollars, because we have to do that tonight? If we have to appropriate more money for exploration to get to something, but like, that's kind of the point we're getting to, otherwise it's gonna be June 30th before we have another major appropriation for commission. So, I'm just trying to, as far as an exploratory of getting to the point, like here, I know, so you guys still have to get her to C with the ductwork, which you didn't get a chance to do.
We're gonna tear
I'm gonna tear out that this week.
So tearing that out, so I think we're still under that original estimate.
Yes.
Exploratory, so
Yes.
answer Tim's question, so that's good. So after that, hopefully, maybe I don't know if that's enough to be able to, like, once you look at that, then we can, like, okay, here committee, here's a rough estimate for A, we're gonna do this, rough estimate for B, we're gonna do this for the, like, here's some things you can look at.
So we'll
Start, because that'll help us get, form an ad hoc, when our ad hoc committee gets together and start nitpicking these things, the details of like what it means.
So, once I get all the ductwork out from underneath it, we got full access basically underneath the house. And that's included in that drawing. So we've got 500 or so left out of the original 2,000. I would venture to say that what we uncovered in the time frame that we did, we still have to do. I personally would like to take out some more sections of the brick. Get on a ladder, get up top, get, 2 up top, 2 on the bottom on each side. Let's get a good idea of what the logs look like. The backside, B, C, and D are not logs. We know that the A is. I want to see what the condition of it is. So exterior wise, we need to do some probing within the brick on A. B, C, and D is pretty much interior.
So
pretty much interior.
Wait, B, C, and D are not logs?
They're not logs.
That's what I asked earlier.
Oh,
So the
was it?
whole thing is
I
logs.
thought you were, sorry, I thought you were talking
And
about.
I said the perimeter of A only is logs, but B,
Okay.
C, and D is wood framed siding.
Question.
Based on what he's saying and what he has left and what I know about construction and stuff, I would like to make a motion to approve $5,000, not to exceed that, to completely inspect, do what they need to do to keep it from falling over, and looking into the walls and all, and, because you're not gonna have enough money to do what he needs to do to really take a good view of it. I'd like to make a motion to do that. I mean, you can increase it,
I'm not saying I won't second that, but I
Well,
want to ask some questions.
bring it back in order before you do that, so.
oh, I'm sorry.
I want to ask some questions before we go to
Go
the
ahead.
second. So, I don't think the question has been answered yet, is can he get to the option A, B, or C in the time period that you want with the dollar amount that we've already appropriated? I want that question answered first, before she makes her motion, before I second her motion. Because if we can get there,
David, Chris, what do you think?
I can't speak to it, because, like I say, I'm
My goal next time I go out there is to start removing ductwork and to get underneath the access, which is under C, the backside of the house. And I will physically crawl underneath there to see what the condition is. Because right now it's a question mark, and I don't like question marks.
will you satisfy the things you need to find out to give us an option A, B, and C with the amount of money that we've already appropriated to?
the 2015. can you do what remains to be done for inspection, or do you need more money?
Well, I mean, I can't, well, I will do whatever you guys would like for me to do.
We would like to have the option A, B, and C within 2 weeks, right?
And that's doable.
And within the amount of money that we've already appropriated. That would make things go much faster than to try to ask for more money to go to budget, to get budget to approve something, and then go to the commission. We've already done the 2,000. If you can work off of that and get us to the option A, B, and C, we would love that. Can
So
you
that
commit to
involves
that?
more demo, it involves more interior demo, and it involves more exterior demo. If you would like for me to donate my time, I'll be more than happy.
Well, you shouldn't have to.
I mean, that's awesome. It may go towards a long way towards him getting the overall project in the end, but that's up to him to decide to do. We're trying to get things done in an expedient process here to.
We've had a lot of people dragging their feet for 2 years on this, to stonewall us.
I didn't mean, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck.
No, I don't take it like that.
No.
I don't want to take advantage of you, but I want to take you up. I want to take you up on the offer because we are on a time crunch. We're trying to get as much done as we can between committee meetings. And if we have to appropriate more money, it's going to be a delay. And you're going to be pushing the pause button. It could be delayed, it could be denied. You're going to be pushing the pause button. But if we can come with a plan A, B, and C, it'll get us to the next milestone to be able to satisfy the curiosities of the people that make the decisions.
Totally get it.
And maybe keep the ball rolling.
I tell you what, for right now, I will do all of this. There's really only $500 left of the initial inspection left. So I will crawl underneath the house. I will take out all the ductwork. I will do brick inspections, and I will let you know what A, B, C, and D look like within a 2-week period.
Will that give us an option A, B,
and I will give you an option A, B, C, and D. I'll give you options. At the end of that 2-week period, you can go to whoever and say, we got to pay this guy for his time. And I'm not trying to sound like I'm not doing any work if I don't get paid. I'm not money driven. I'm historically driven. If that's okay with you guys, and you say, hey, let's do another, I think 5,000, to be honest with you, is a little much. If you wanted to say, let's do 3,000, 2,500 for his work, and we know what A, B, and C, and D look like, and we've got options, let's do it. I can wait. I'm not a starving contractor.
I'd like to amend Commissioner Jones.
Well, I'm going to bring it back in session before you make a
Okay.
motion, so.
Okay.
I mean, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Let me just say one thing, what I think might be prudent is, Chris and I are gonna clean up, we've removed a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff needs to be tossed. And we can't get in there, it's a problem. We had to drive all the way around the back, come around, we barely got back out. At some point, there's gonna have to be some gravel.
Well, that is a good point. We're going to have to do, because the original driveway, you're facing the house, it's on the right, and you cut across that drainage ditch, which is now not possible, so you have to come straight out. If you look on those old drawings that the county commission spent money on as part of the 2020 Master Parks plan, there actually was a little gravel drive and a little parking spot area there, which is probably the only thing that really does make sense from that whole plan to have to do that. I'm not sure what the cost would be to create a gravel drive. Yeah, that's going to have to happen no matter what we do. So, I mean, that might be worth us making a part of an appropriation request to do. And I don't know if get the highway department to do it. It's free labor. So I know there's been artisans from the community, electricians that offer to do work for free on the house. There's artists then offer to work to do conceptual drawings of what the house might look like. As far as I've had people offer that in the community to go towards this to save us money and to be a part of it. So there are artisans that are willing to chip in their time and talents for this as a community, which gets me excited. It's pretty amazing. I think you bring it up a good point, Chris. It's kind of been exciting to hear you talk about it, and thank you, David, for drawing this, because it helps visualize and really, I think, having been in the house several times and understanding the layout, the footprint of what could be, And your report actually is a lot more positive than I thought it would be coming back to us, so I'm glad to hear it's a lot better news than I thought. I'm like, not as hard of a journey or a lift as what we think. The hard part is just politics and personalities and access has really been the hard part, just to get this done. But we're just trying to get this done and do the right thing for family. But I think that could be. Any other questions for Chris or David? Tom, I'm going to bring us back in session.
I want to say something real quick.
Go ahead.
So you guys know who I am. I grew up in a mid-1800s house in Nashville. It is now Tennessee Historical Society's main office. It's called Clover Bottom Mansion. I was born and raised out there till I was 14, and then the state shut it down. And was boarded up for many, many years. But I'll just tell the story, and I hope I don't get emotional. People have been in, everybody's been somewhere in the United States, whether it's inner city or back country roads, and everybody's seen a house that says, my gosh, why doesn't somebody do something to that house? It could be gorgeous. And God said to me, I want you to do that. And I don't want you to just put lipstick on a pig. I want you to do true restorations. So I'm living a passion, and I went out on my own about 10 years ago, specializing in historic preservation, but doing true restorations, doing the research, keeping it period with colors and the whole 9 yards. So I do this for the love of the history, and it has nothing to do with me. But that's just a little bit about who I am. I spent 25 years in commercial construction in and around Nashville. I lived in Canada for a couple of years on a work visa in commercial construction. So, but I have a calling, and I'm blessed to be able to live it out. I really am. And it's not about the money. If you don't give me money till 2 or 3 months down the road, that's okay. I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm loving going out there every day and bringing this log house back to life as the Latimers originally built it. That's what's important to me.
David, do you have anything?
I just wanted to say that once we get it cleaned up, it might be prudent to have this committee and the ad hoc committee and anybody else walk through, because we're going to have to make some decisions on, do we just limit it to section A? Do we keep B and C?
That's perfectly ad hoc, so that's what we'll do. Thank you for bringing back to this committee. So,
okay.
Do we want to meet prior to next month's meeting? And let's just say,
I plan on calling it ad hoc.
Okay.
I mean, ideally, probably wait till after you do the work. I mean, so we can know. I think that would be the next time to present, probably to the ad hoc later this month, if we're able to do that, call meeting and just simply talk about that. We have a full agenda tonight, a lot more stuff to talk about here. I'm going to get to the courts next, skip some stuff on the agenda, make some amendments. But my question is, as far as you brought up a good point, access the drive, what would it require to do that, just a gravel cut in, like you would see on any construction site?
Well, you have that road that the schools run along is built way up. So you're going to have a culvert in there somewhere.
Curb's got to be cut.
Yep, curb's got to be cut.
So we got to have the highway department.
Yep. And then you can doze a blade.
Well, I'd like to
down through there.
make recommendations tonight for that.
Absolutely.
When we're talking about appropriations, I think it's going to happen. So I don't know how much that would cost or what that would be involved. Some of them more on David and Tim, a little bit on anybody else that knows the cost of that material.
I just am putting in a driveway, gravel driveway.
Yeah.
With dirt, and my driveway that I have to put in is about $2,300 for dirt and gravel.
For how long? How long?
100 yards? Because this is about 100 yards at least, right?
More
Longer than that.
More than that. It's probably from the road to the back of the house, I want to say 150 feet. 140,
Your place.
Not my house.
Oh,
This is a rental. It's on East Main. So it goes up and then behind, so it's a good distance. But, I know the guy, so.
I'm just trying to figure out how
I can calculate the yardage.
The gravel,
Well, he wants to do it tonight.
Now.
Yeah, I
He
can,
wants to
I
put
can
a
probably.
number on it tonight.
I can tell you what a load of gravel is costing.
It's about 500, isn't it?
Not yet.
No, it's more than that. It's, gravel's $450 a load, well, $450. And then the topsoil, put the soil in is $650.
So tell you what, we can table this discussion at the end of the meeting and try to figure out costs, maybe ask them to make a recommendation. So, suspend the rules for.
Suspend the rules.
Motion by Commissioner Klein, second by Commissioner Miller, let's say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
What I want to say is that the old driveway is there, so you don't have to gravel it. The old driveway starts, as you know, it's right where that culvert is and circles up like that. So it's got a good base once you get down to it. You know, probably about 100 feet maybe, and it may not be quite that much. And you're down to a base. It's got grass on it right now, but you can see where it is. So you won't have to gravel the whole thing all the way up there. It's got a really good base.
The main thing's cutting the curb and putting a culvert in
Exactly.
where that big giant ditch is to be able to cross over and find the old driveway, correct?
Well, you can see it. You
Yeah.
can see it.
Yeah, you can see it.
And you could drive on top of the grass that's growing in the driveway, but that's the main cost is cutting that curb,
That's a question.
putting the culvert in.
The highway department help us out.
And, yeah,
I don't know.
maybe we get donations from Rocky for this old house, you know?
Are we, we didn't at Rosemont, so are we doing anything permit-wise, inspection? Of course, we have to have electrical inspections. Are we doing anything, do I need to do anything with the county as far as permits goes? Or are we just keeping this in-house?
Just explore.
Rosemont kept it in-house, and I didn't have to do any of that. There were no questions asked, so I kind of figured we would do the same thing here.
I don't have an answer to that question, but I mean, as far as like, I don't think you get permits to do your exploratory we're doing. We're
No.
just doing that. I mean, it's like, as far as like, I don't know the answer to that question right now. Okay.
We back in system.
Not yet.
Well, I'm in the queue
Anybody else?
to make an amendment.
Bring this back in session.
Okay.
Commissioner Jones.
So, the amendment that I wanted to make to Commissioner Janong's, motion did not include the, cost of cutting the curb and putting a culvert in. But I wanted to tell you the nature of it so we can incorporate that into whatever the cost we come up with here. Our motion was to appropriate up to $5,000 to, pay him for his work. The fear of that getting, stalled in committee or whatever, it sounds like he's willing to go ahead and do the work in good faith, whether that comes or not, and hopefully it does come. Hopefully it does come.
I'm just a disclaimer here. You volunteered.
We're recording this, I mean.
I'm saying if it's okay with him,
You're on the record.
if it's okay with him, I want to second that motion. I was gonna amend it, but, we gotta change the amount now that we know the cut of the curb. So I don't know what to cut it.
I'm not a drywall.
Yeah,
I'm an expert, so.
I would say that based on what I know about gravel and dirt, and I know how much it costs to put a culvert in, I would say that in his work, we need, and I can change my motion to, I'm trying to keep it under where you have to get all these bids and stuff. So $7,500 to do the culvert, to do the driveway, and to finish his work up, not to exceed that, to get it going, you know, but.
If you need to know it tonight, I would almost caution in that number, and I say that because I can talk to, a good friend of mine, Brad, with B3 Construction. He, I can say, hey, I've got an emergency situation, I need a price, can you meet me out here tomorrow? If you can, wonderful, and say, this is what we're trying to do, how soon can you give me a price on doing that? I would almost like to just throw a dart at a number, and it comes in twice as that, and now all of a sudden we're just stuck.
Well, I mean, anything over $10,000, it gotta be, we have to have 3 estimates. So, I mean, anything under $10,000, we don't. So that's, you know, sticking that procurement process. I mean, We can shoot the hip, I mean, we can always bring it up from the floor at the full commission, but I mean, this is less palatable than that. I mean, I'm laying that out here, saying that was an option, we could do that, and bypass budget at this point, you know, as far as if we come up, because we're waiting on an actual cost versus just sending it on. I mean, I don't think it's gonna hurt to send a number to budget that can be amended next week if we get it on budget, because tonight have him added for tomorrow, the budget agenda has not come out yet. But, and Commissioner Klein can amend it if necessary at budget next week if there's,
Let's do that.
Mr. Simmons.
I was just gonna point out, these cut-ins, you do have to get with Toby because he's got permitting requirements, at least on his end, so we need to make
Well,
sure they're in.
This is just getting, what he's doing exploratory we don't need to cut in a driveway right now. But I'm just saying, we're going and it's gotta happen, so let's start the ball tonight, because I'm starting this process.
Didn't want anybody to lose sight of that.
No, I mean, I know that they're gonna be involved, it's a lot more, that's why we gotta get through the process and get it out there, so I don't wanna delay to next month.
The county doesn't own that street yet.
Would it be cleaner to just go ahead and focus on her motion to get the exploratory work done, finish that one, and then revisit this cut-in later? Because they got back there once, they can get back there again. It'd be preferable if it was easier to get back there, but I don't want that to hold this up to finish the exploratory work.
It's not going to, it's not going to. It's not at all. We're just getting the ball rolling on the culvert. So I think we need to get the ball rolling on the culvert. It's not gonna hold up them going back out there.
It doesn't have anything to do with our 2 weeks, 3 bids,
Nothing.
nothing.
You don't have to make any motion at all, and he's still gonna do it, so.
Okay.
But what we're trying to do is get the ball rolling, knowing that there is an issue, it's gotta happen. There's actually, we're part of that old park plan for almost $2 million. It didn't include the house. It did include a driveway right there.
Well,
So-
this is gonna get convoluted really quickly.
I don't,
Yeah, county doesn't own that road, and it's gonna be part of the adoption of the road process, I'm sure, and permission to ask the school.
well, then we can,
all that
I
stuff.
say we forget about it, no, we don't need to appropriate anything right now. That'd be my recommendation, and keep it clean.
Okay. Then I second her motion for up to $5,000.
I don't think we need to do that right now, but again, I think that's convoluted.
Okay, so we're not asking for any more money yet?
I don't think we should.
Okay.
I do not right now.
Well, I personally think the man needs to be paid for his work, but
When you make a
Okay.
motion,
I made a motion for $5,000. No, $4,000.
Why do you wanna not get that started too? Because if it fails, he's still doing the work, but if it passes, he could get paid right away. Is it the amount?
I think it's too much.
Okay, then I amend it to $3,000 and
How about $2,500?
another $2,500?
We got an auction going on.
Would another $2,500 get us
I can't tell you what the commission's gonna do.
Well, let's try for 2,500, and
he's gonna do it regardless.
we're gonna do it regardless, so.
Somebody needs to fix her motion.
All right, I'm amending her motion to $2,500.
All right, second by Commissioner Moss. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries. Send it to budgets. Can we get that done, David?
You gonna vote on the motion now?
I mean, the main motion is, it's disposed of, because the amendment is the main motion.
Okay.
I mean, it's $2,500, that's the motion for appropriating it.
And was part of the motion the timeline? Are we operating off of the timeline?
I wouldn't give it.
I said in the next 2 weeks, but that wasn't coupled with that, but it was what I said
No,
after.
I wasn't part of the motion. The motion was just appropriating money for finishing up exploratory. You amended it to be $2,500. Motion $5,000, $2,500, cancels out, the motion's done.
Can we get something from you? Otherwise, I'm gonna do motion to reconsider. Can we get a commitment for you for a timeline?
Absolutely. What do we, what's May?
Yes.
Can you do it within the next 2 weeks?
Yes. Starting next week. Because I've got like I was telling you earlier.
He's not concerned about when to get paid. It's about when do we get the report back.
Pre-engagements on other projects. That I need to finish.
He committed earlier in the meeting to 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
You said that earlier.
He's committing
We
now.
good with that? Is that a good timeline for you? I know, I don't need it to be now as long as he
Yeah.
did that, okay.
So,
I just wanted to know as we move on.
yes, we're gonna keep, and you're gonna send out the budget, we're gonna keep this under old business. All right, without objection, I mean, hey, Chris, thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank y'all very much, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Without objection, I'd like to go ahead and talk about C, ahead of B, recovery court renovation, 117 Smith Street property, pages 9 to 173. Do I have a motion for discussion? Motion by Commissioner Miller.
Second.
Commissioner, Klein, all those say aye. Any opposed? All right. This is obviously last month we did, I want you guys, I guess we could page 90 and 91's discussion of the email that I had requested, like, correspondence and Scott. That last month, I guess we approved the allocation of the space. There was unfortunate confusion during the full commission meeting, saying the space map went right, but what was in our packet was exactly what was presented in this packet from Judge Blanton and Marshall Boyd. So I still don't understand what that was all about, because as far as I'm concerned, we approved what was in this, that we've seen for months. So that felt like a big waste of time last month.
It was
Commission meeting.
very big.
But I guess the question is now, I know there's some questions, I think, from audience, or as far as getting back into our county construction and lease policy of, I think most of these, correct me if I'm wrong, Dustin, these things dealt with interior renovations.
Scott.
Excuse me, Scott. Yeah, Dustin. Apologies, Scott. I just saw his name from the email. So, dealing with interior renovations, and so I know there's a lot of questions here as far as like trying to get this into line with our policy of like what external things need to be done as well, because that's going to be a cost to the county or the recovery court, or is it going to come out of these funds? I know there's questions about ADA compliance, or is there bringing the thing up to codes? So we can definitely, Judge Blanton here, we can spin the rules, any questions he has or any discussion. But I just wanted to point you guys to this email about what next steps are now that we have properly assigned that space, and what happens if a proposal goes over the budget. We've already hired an architect and cannot proceed to move forward into lack of funding.
Do you need a motion right now to
So
suspend?
I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend.
Motion by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Miller. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So, Judge, you want to adjourn? Yeah, you want to just kind of.
Email right up the bat.
Yeah, just kind of start out.
Because if you look at the day of the email, it's dated April 23rd at 1 p.m. to you. If you look below, he made a request for me to respond to him by end of business on the 24th.
Correct.
He sent this message. I responded to that email and addressed each and every issue of that on the morning of the 24th, and that's not included in your packet.
Is that not in the packet? Because it
No,
was
it is not.
part of that email. It should have been. Let me see. It should have been, it was an attachment.
You made a copy of Dustin's instead of Ron's, so it's one, so.
Well, no, I mean, I get an attachment, it comes, and it's, had further attachments. It's on page 140, Judge.
Okay, I didn't respond. I didn't print it all.
So if you, we have an extra
I came
packet.
straight from recovery court, so I got this handed to me on my way out.
You have an extra packet?
Yeah.
So you can,
Because I didn't know it was,
Who wants this?
I was even on the docket for tonight.
so page
So,
140 is your email.
Okay, it's the issue on tonight that got totally blown out of proportion. There's one wall that was entered that was not entered before. What happened is when I supplied this drawing, I got it handed to me because, quite frankly, I don't have time to do a PowerPoint presentation, and with all the drawings and stuff, that's not my job. So I had people that work for me do their very best to put this PowerPoint together, and I didn't check it, and that's my fault. But somebody had asked for a shaded area of the drawing, which I've never asked for, but it got done, and it's not right. And so, I had and when I came to the budget committee last week, I had the original with me. There's only one original. Judge Hunter's, he got it, and he had requested it from when we originally got it, and it's different from what that shaded area is. The only difference is, there's one office that is included in our space that is not included in this matter. And the other change is that there's a door listed right here, a wall, that should be down here, because this wall prevents us from getting out and getting into the secured area of the building. Part of the purpose for us remaining in the building was to be able to bring inmates in the secured area over to recovery court.
It's supposed to be the door.
And no, actually, it does need to be a door. That wall needs to be down here with the door, so they can come into this entryway into recovery court here. This door doesn't exist. I don't know where this came from. That door does not exist.
I get that.
He comes down the outside. Once you get into the courtroom, there's a door. And that's the reason why we need this door down here, so they get access here to this room for the training and the assessments that they do. And then they go right back out into the security
But that
area.
is, quick question, dumb question.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of what you just said inside, is this still the exterior wall of this space? Or
No, the exterior wall is here, all the way down. This is another hallway that leads outside. This was included in here. Right now, there is no wall here. It goes out to here and stops.
Okay.
This was the added wall that doesn't need to be there. It needs to be here, which is where it was originally put, with the door in it, so that we can go down the hall and get the prisoners in this is secured area to come in here to this room.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not adding any extra
It's
space.
not adding any extra space at all.
Okay, that clarifies that.
So I thought we clarified that the other night.
So which one got approved?
Well, I mean, I'm just going by, you know, just want to answer the questions that,
Sure.
Dustin had on part of this project.
And at the budget committee meeting on last Tuesday, some of you were on that committee, I believe. John Isabel, at the end of it, said that he had all the money set aside to take care of all the outside in his,
He said that.
in his budget.
I heard him say that.
He said that, so, and that's what I told in my response is, I'm not responsible for the outside of that building. I just wanted the inside to be retrofitted so that we could use it. He asked questions in this email that I see now he didn't ask me before, and that was about ADA approved bathrooms. The bathrooms that are in the courthouse are ADA approved. The problem is the outside was not ADA approved. And the jury box, the Judge Gates courtrooms, those were not ADA approved. That's what the building was not ADA approved for. The bathrooms that were built on the add-on, they're all ADA approved as they exist now. The real construction part is in Judge McCormick's old courtroom, where they're gonna take the empty space, clear it, and they'll divide it with offices.
Right.
Every other office is fine. We just need the space. Carpet cleaned and maybe paint on the wall. We'll bring our own furniture. But I mean, it's just sitting there right now, deteriorating, not being used. And that's kind of what we were asking for.
So as far as, I wasn't privy to the budget
That's fine.
last week.
That's
So,
fine.
So as far as, Scott and you guys, where are, we've approved the space, so where are we now as far as the county on the abatement funds? Like, what's next steps for GenOps as part of this process? We're trying to move the ball forward incrementally. We've taken steps. So, Scott, do you know what our next steps are? David, what's happening in budget? So,
Scott, do we have to hire a licensed architect or space planner to do legitimate drawings for this? Because it may involve distribution of heating and air conditioning, electricity, all of, okay, so the next business we need is to get, and I think, you know, any architect can do this, but probably a space planner that's a little familiar with at least jail security and stuff is probably the appropriate thing to do.
It's the same space we used for jail security when we were operating as.
Right.
We're not making any changes.
Right. And I'm assuming that nothing's changed since that court was built out how many years ago?
It was built in the early 2000s, because it was one of the questions they asked me, was it up to code? And I said, well, if it was built to code in the early part of the 2000s when that courtroom was built, I would assume it's still up to code. That's
Okay.
And that,
So we need an architect slash space planner to
Correct.
take this and refine it and turn it into drawings so that we can put it out to bid, because I don't think it's gonna cost near what, you know, what they've been telling the judge, but,
and I told him at the budget committee last week, I didn't, you know, it's a figure that we came based on what the drawings were submitted to us by the county.
mhm.
And they told us that was what was needed, that there was some overage, and we were asked about our overage. We said, we have, most of the people that have come through recovery court are professional craftsmen, plumbers, electricians, builders, all kind of various, jobs, and, you know, quite frankly, I told them they would ask me, what happens if we're short? I said, we have plenty of volunteers that would finish it out. Then I was told we couldn't do that because it creates a liability for the county, and I'm like, well, then why do we send all the inmates out to do all these projects across the county? We can't use volunteers to help build this out. So I didn't.
I agree with you.
I understand that.
I'm just, you know, we've been asking for this money, this space has been sitting for years, just trying to get them out of that attic that's mold infested so they can grow their program. And it's just.
Yeah.
So, I understand that the money has been approved.
Right, there was $500,000 that was set aside by the opioid committee. The budget committee last week set aside $150,000 in capital monies and already had approved $15,000 last week to go ahead, and they instructed, Mr. Long to go ahead and hire and get that architect drawings done at the budget committee last week.
So it's
Okay.
moving.
So it's very, so did you know that, Scott? I wasn't aware of it. Okay.
You are on the budget committee, am I saying anything, you know, wrong? I mean, that's exactly what he said that he was
Yeah,
gonna do.
yeah, all right, so
They voted for it.
Things are moving, so then that'll come back to us. So is there any action we need to take on this at this moment? As far as, it sounds like things are moving, preparations are happening for the architect estimates to come back to us as part of the process, which is what's supposed to happen. So,
I'll talk to David.
I'll get an update on that.
For the path of least resistance, I just want to make it very clear, that resolution not only gave the judge his space for recovery court, but by default gave everything else to the sheriff's department. You're talking about inmate access. I'm assuming the sheriff's going to be loosely affiliated with the transfer of the inmates.
I've already talked to him.
Right.
Sheriff, it's the same setup as they had
I
with criminal court.
understand.
They bring them down to the holding area that's still there, and then we bring them out.
I
We do
get it.
that now.
My only point is this, you two together have that building, so anything you can work out internally can probably avoid a bunch of committee process.
And there's your,
Just FYI.
there's your inmate labor too.
And we have talked about, he and I have already talked about the space that we have. I mean, we agreed on that space a year ago. We walked the building. We walked it with David a year ago and said, this is what we need, this is what the sheriffs need, and that's pretty much where the line, that's when we went to architect or the project manager, engineer, whatever they're called.
Marshall Boyd.
Yeah, Marshall Boyd, and said, draw these drawings for us and give us an estimate of how much it's going to cost. And that's where that information came.
And so now we're at a point where we need a real architect. We need to lay out the courtroom. That's the only walls that need to be built. And he's gonna have more paint and floor covering than he's gonna have.
Okay, so is there any more, there's no action item for us to do on this? We're good to go?
Unless Scott needs us to approve something for him to go after an architect.
All right, thank you. We'll raise back in
Apparently,
session.
they've already done.
Without, objection, I want to remove this
Okay.
from, old business. And, we're going to remove this.
Thank you all.
Hey, thanks.
Appreciate all
Yeah,
your.
just wanted to make sure we weren't leaving you hanging on.
Sorry it's so frustrating for you, Ron.
All right, so unfortunately, that wasn't communicated, that's from budget, you know, all those things, so, that's why I thought we were dealing with this week. So that actually, I guess that happened during the hearings, not during a budget meeting, so just want to clarify that during this call. All right, we will,
Move that along.
we'll remove that from, and we'll just wait for that to come back from budget when they're ready, and the finance department's ready. Scott,
Kill it.
yep, we're gonna remove that. from our agenda, so we don't have to deal with that until it comes back up and we're ready to look at something. Item B, we're gonna go back to Millersville EMS station reconfiguration status and MOU. We have a motion for discussion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Jones, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Floor is open.
I got a suggested amendment to the MOU that they sent to us.
Do you want to talk about that one, or start with the original MOU as a base?
Well, I don't have the original one to compare to this.
In the back.
Okay, give me a minute then. I'll retract my motion. Give me a second.
I'll give you a brief, Tim and I went to the last, Louisville City Commission meeting. We're asked to go, I didn't think I was gonna be able to go and rearrange my schedule to be there, but, didn't come and wanted to go. Just as an observatory position only, not speaking as a spokesman of the general office, because you guys can authorize me or tend to do that. But they did call us up and ask us questions. We were able to, I guess, clear the air on some things that were misspoken about what happened. That they did come last month and they did kick the EMS out of the living space. They didn't like the words kicked out of the living space, so removed, whatever you want to say, evicted, told they couldn't be back in the living space. So we're permanently in a trailer and been there forever. At our meeting last month, they tried to tell us here that, again, we were being evicted from that space, they were going to use it eventually. When Tiffany and I went to their full commission meeting, the Louisville City Commission, they backtracked on that and said that we could still renovate those 2 bedrooms, but with the caveat that they are going to be reclaiming that within 2 to 5 years. Realistically, Millersville they were talking about property tax increases, revenues, and they were saying increased revenues as taxes. So for Millersville's ambitious goals and their growth plans, because of the growth they've had, they're looking down more likely to do what they want to do, in my opinion, a property tax increase. And so they're not at that point to do it. So our options are, and Commissioner Jones and I discussed this, and I laid it out for them very succinctly, which I've repeated month after month after month, is that the options that we have are to renovate those 2 rooms, which is what Commissioner Klein's been working on since last June, through Gen Options. Still here we are, a year later, doing nothing, just asinine. And, or you permanently, you buy a trailer that they're in, and permanently house them in that trailer, or you build on to that building, which could be anywhere from $300,000 to $750,000 to the ambitious plans I've seen to build on to that building for just for living space, 2 bedrooms, living space. Or you build a new EMS station somewhere else. Those are 4 options. Or you wait till Goodless will build to 1, 2 to 4 years from now and move it there for free. I don't think that would be the best thing for Millersville, because you would reduce coverage there in an area that I think it's wiser to have something in that area of 31. So that's kind of, but just to lay the groundwork, what we were told, an option that we thought was off the table is no longer off the table. Option of still renovating the 2 rooms that we originally thought, Commissioner Klein thinks it could be up to $25,000, Commissioner Jones thinks it might be upwards of $50,000. So we don't know, that's why we said $50,000 up to renovate that space. Question we're going to get to is, do we want, that we've got to answer the question to, or the commission has to, I'll say, is what is financially expedient on knowing Millersville is not ready to do anything for that space. Even on page 62 of this minutes from their March meeting that we didn't know they had at the time, page 62 on the top highlight, their city manager did say he thinks the most economical way to do it right now would be to try to partner with Sumner County to get the 2 bedrooms up at the Bethel Road Fire Station 2 and keep their City Hall Fire Station 1 as the primary headquarters for their engines there. There's a lot of back and forth and debate. Some commissioners didn't agree with that. They wanted to go ahead and do it all at the same time. That comes down to time, cost, and money, because they can't staff it right now. So that was an interesting, back in March, that felt like it was the most economical thing to do, and came here and said that they didn't want to do that then in the city. Meaning they backtracked once we got up there and said that they were willing to, they thought, their opinion, it was a waste of money for us to renovate those 2 rooms. I don't necessarily see it as that, if I'm looking at cost, knowing that here we are a year out, we're still renting a dumb trailer we spent over 30 grand on, we could have bought it for that, owned it for that. Knowing that the way this crazy county goes, it's still gonna be 3 to 6, 8 months before you build 2 rooms or even building it, God forbid, an addition, take a year, the way things are going. So we're still looking at probably needing to buy a trailer, versus continuing to rent this thing, knowing that we're gonna have this. I'm just spitballing here. Give us some options, I know, Mr. Jones, thank you. Or renovate these 2 rooms, and just, you rent the trailer, hoping best case scenario, you have to rent it for three months, spend maybe $9 grand for further rental costs versus 30 grand to buy one, and get them in that space, knowing they'd probably be there for 2 years, 18 months, 2 years. Or just swallow these bloated estimates for $650,000 for a living quarters for 2 people sleeping. So that's kind of where we're at on this. But I just wanted to let you preface that's back on the table as an option for us to move forward with, and Millersville's okay with, but the caveat being that they're going to kick us out of that space, the living quarters, being inside that building, to have to build a new building, build onto the building, get a trailer or something else. They said they do not want us not to be in Millersville, so that means our options are trailer or add-on or fixed rooms. So that's kind of where we're back to. So these are really those 3 options. Commissioner Jones,
I had a question, but then I want to make a comment. So if you could clarify, we have been working on those that have been on this committee, even last year, know that this was started back in June. Can you remind everybody why it has not progressed at all since June?
Politics and personalities. I mean, it's
but where did this committee leave the action?
County mayor has
to the mayor, correct?
Taking the action. I mean, he wants this grandiose plan, and which even Millersville's calling the county mayor's plan, because they met and we didn't do their meeting.
But was there a directive by this committee to bid that $25,000 to $50,000 plan out?
I don't know if we've done a directive yet. The county mayor said he's going to be bringing back plans, and we said that we can accept or reject those plans, and that's what.
But he never did.
Well, no, that's when they came back last month and said that we were being ejected from the space and taking our option off the table.
But he had made that statement months prior and just never brought back plans up until last month.
Well, yeah, 15 minutes after our meeting started.
Yes.
There were plans submitted by him to be a Marshall Boyd April of 2024.
But why did this plan never get the $25,000 to $50,000 cutting in the windows, renovating those rooms? Why did that never get?
County mayor has just refused to move forward.
Yeah,
He's just refused.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify for public. People are watching this in Millersville, and they want to know why. It's been allowed since June.
Last June.
We've made comments of frustration, but it's not been because of this committee.
No,
This committee, it was decisive, and it was left in the mayor's hand, and he did not act on it.
Last summer, we got an estimate from the architect on like architectural fees, and Commissioner Klein, I can't remember if it said actually what the construction cost would be in that estimate, Mr. Klein, I don't think it was.
he didn't have an estimate.
You just were spitballing, you think it'd be more than $25,000 total to do what needed to be done. I think you were saying that included that.
Right, he and I talked about it, and his price for the architecture was gonna be in the vicinity of the low 13,000s, and when he and I spoke, and we just spoke recently when we met to look at the courtroom build out in the new county courthouse, I said, now what we said at the time was we thought that the construction may be less than the architecture. He goes, yeah, I think there's a good chance. So if the architecture is 13,000.
So that's where you're coming up with your $25,000.
That's where I'm coming up with.
Well, the point being, the commission approved in November up to $20,000 for the county mayor using architect. We can't tell them which architect to use, so he didn't. He went out and found his own architect, and they came back with this $650,000 plan that we found out about a couple weeks ago. We had an email 15 minutes after. Well, actually, I had to go to the finance department to what kind of communications has transpired around this, and they sent me some emails with the architect that happened back in March, February, and that it was, up to $650,000 for this plan that we never even knew about. So, which has been problematic. I mean, so when I started this meeting tonight, so we have fiduciary responsibility to do its investments for taxpayers. We have $25,000 plan, including architectural fees and construction, potentially, to fix a problem that could have been fixed 8 months ago. And now it's floated up to $300,000, $400,000, $650,000, and we have no resolution. It just, it frustrates me and frustrates taxpayers.
So that answers my question. Now for my comment, I wanted to add some clarity to some of the things you said from my recollections from the meeting also. I don't believe they said it would be a waste of money to go with the original plan. It was just knowing that it could get changed in 2 to 3 to 5 years if they fully staffed their fire department and needed the space. But it was conceded that, you know, we could do that option. But also at the same time, everybody acknowledged it was probably going to take a tax increase to do it, and there weren't many on the commission, on the city commission, that had the stomach for a tax increase. So that let me know.
One person said that.
No, there was Jesse and Darnell. Both said it. No, they both said that it'd be a hard sell to them to do a tax increase. And so they had a lot of things to figure out. This is a problem we have to address immediately, and no matter what it costs us, it's going to cost more if we take longer to do it. But the immediate fix would be to do the quick construction plan, to stop burning money by renting the trailer. I did some research on the trailer also, and found out that we can buy a new trailer for $35,000, and we would own it. I mean, the money we've spent now is $35,000.
As of March, it's over $30,000.
So it's probably 35 now, easy. So we don't, that's not equity we've built up in this trailer. We would have to buy another trailer because that is just rented money going out the window. My frustration is through this whole process, it's the mayor's job to manage the day-to-day of the housing and building of amenities for our employees. And knowing that this was dragging on and on and on and on, he should have been the one to call the RV place to find out if it would be cheaper to buy this thing than to keep on renting this thing. Instead, I did it just on my own and found out that now to buy something equal to that one that we have now is $64,000. But there's another version that is a 1-year-old model that hasn't been sold yet, so it's still new, that they're willing to sell for $35,000. The taxes and everything is like $39,000, $39,000 to $40,000. So regardless of what we do, I think that's something we should consider doing because the construction is going to take months to finish. So that's more money we're just throwing out the window, and we have nothing to show for it at the end of it. At the end of this, we could sell that trailer or repurpose it for something else afterwards. So I think that needs to be part of whatever we do. But this fix isn't necessarily a short term because we don't know when they're ever going to have all their ducks in a row to get their building built the way they want to do it. They'll take whatever option we're willing to offer. We don't have to be shoehorned into the way some people are driving this committee to do it the way they want. Millersville is acceptable to do any of the options.
Commissioner Miller.
I understand what he's saying about the trailer, the issue with that. I think for me to go back to the constituents and say, you know, I have these options. First of all, I cannot in good faith say, yeah, it's okay to spend over $350,000 or so to build onto something that the county doesn't belong. $650 that belongs to the county. And you could get kicked out anyway. But
According to MOU,
yeah.
30 days.
So that is silly. So, I mean, I'm fine. I like the idea of renovating it because you could come down and fix what's there. It's a stationary building. It's not a trailer. I have been through trailers where we've had tornadoes, and, you know, those are dangerous, in my opinion. They're not the best thing for somebody to stay in all year long. Because you're gonna have, if you own it, you're gonna have to hook up the sewer, and you're gonna have to hook up water and all that, because you own it, because you have to dispose of that stuff. So renovating it, I mean, seriously, how long does it take to put 2 windows and, I mean, I've got some windows in my shed, you can have them, but.
It's the government, yeah.
I know, but, so I feel like, and they're looking, and based on what I watched on the videos and the way they've come and done, they're still trying to figure out what day it is down there. And so perhaps it would be best if we did the renovation, put the people in there, and if they come down in 5 years and say, you know, get out of here, then that's when you can start the next. You may find new land, you may find something cheaper. So, to me, that's buying a trailer, because those trailers, campers, they're not intended to last forever. But having someone in a stationary building to stay in while they're working, to me, makes more sense than a camper. That was only supposed to be temporary, because they were getting carbon, they were breathing in fumes, apparently, for 20 years, and they were dying from it. So I just felt like, you know, that all had to be resolved. So I'd like to make a motion that we just cut all this BS and go back down to it and say, we'll do the renovation for the 2 bedrooms and move on, because you're beating this can down the street constantly, and my toe's getting sore. So what about it? I'd like to make a motion to do it.
We got a motion, we got a second by Commissioner Moss, okay. Discussion?
I have a comment. If we spend whatever, I mean, we've been trying to spend $25,000, and we can't, because the mayor has refused to let us renovate for $25,000. So, we do that for the $25,000, or whatever, $650 or whatever it's gonna be, and then they say in their MOU that we can throw you out in 30 days. So why would we put money in a building we don't own to be thrown out in 30 days?
We have to,
And,
for our employees.
okay, but you can also do what you're in now, you can buy the temporary thing and put them there, and then they can't get the money.
I would just say this, the city of Millersville, the residents and the city commission have expressly stated they have no desire to have Sumner County EMS not located at that property. So, I don't think, even though that MOU says that, and I would like to change the language on that when we start talking about that. We can talk about that next. Actually, before we make that motion, I think it's fine to move the ball forward. Mr. Moss.
Do we own any property in Millersville?
Not to my knowledge. Great question.
Like you said, let's put a pole barn.
Not to spin off of that.
Not that I know. That's a good question.
Build a pole barn on it and
Worth exploring, Commissioner Klein.
There's a couple options that we really haven't talked about. I think you alluded to one. We could, on a temporary basis, ask the EMTs that work at Bethel to do 12-hour shifts rather than 24s.
I don't think
They're not gonna split up all the different.
They're already talking about it.
Yeah, but
They've already talked about they're moving towards 12-hour shifts anyway.
And it's gonna cost
that's a budgetary crisis to stop
millions of
that.
dollars and more money to do that.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
That's not something we can get permission to direct the EMS director. It's outside of our purview scope.
Okay, so
No.
we have no control over
No.
that. Okay. I think the 30-day thing,
We'll get there,
okay,
but we're not on that yet, so Commissioner Moss, real quick.
hey, don't we own the library down there?
I think we do. The Millersville, I think, originally built it and then gave it to the county.
There's a lot right next side, right there beside it. Why can't we build like you said, pole barn, build it up? I mean,
That's a good question.
I've seen them live
Well,
in
Rick,
it.
you can look into what property we actually own in Millersville. Like, do we own the library? That property is their space behind there.
We can't build a pole barn though, that's been clarified last time we tried to build a fire station, right? It's gotta be an architecture, engineered building. It's gotta be an engineer, therefore it's not technically a pole barn, but it would be the best solution.
It'd be $2 million based
Yeah,
on what I've known.
To answer your question, yes, I think that's a great idea, so thank you. So, Mr. Moderator, if you can just research that for us.
What was that?
Just the Millersville, do we own any property in
Oh,
Millersville?
yeah.
I got that down, I mean, that's a good question.
Specifically the library and the lot next
And
to
the lot
it.
next to it, is that, tenable for,
Giving me authority to just go purchase it?
no, just to find out, do we own that property? Commissioner Jones? We do need to.
Can you
We got a
answer?
motion by Commissioner, Jones, was there a second on that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Terry Moat seconded, did you give a dollar amount? I don't remember you did.
$25,000.
It needs to be more than that.
Okay,
Probably
Up to
$50,000.
$50,000.
Okay, so
Do
your
one more
motion
bid.
is to approve up to $50,000
For the renovation.
for the renovation of those two rooms, knowing that Commissioner Klein thinks it might be $15,000.
Right.
So I'm just saying, or, okay, we'll leave it at that.
25 to 50. I'm still on my question though.
I just want to clarify the motion we're on. We're on her motion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
We're still not making a motion.
No, I may amend it based on this, but my question is, how long of a period of time have we accrued that $30-something thousand by March? How many months have we
It's
been
been
doing
like
it?
10 months.
10 months?
Yeah, so it's only like $2,600 a month, I think, the
$2,750.
$2,750, say almost $2,800.
So what is the estimate on time it would take to do this construction to fix it?
It's
Another
gonna
3,
take-
another 6?
4, I would guess.
I mean, if we were the dictators everybody say we are, we would have it done next week. But, I mean,
We know what reality is though, if it started tomorrow, it's gonna be
it's
four
like we get it
months?
done.
I think we should buy it.
That's why I'm saying buy the thing, because I feel like we're gonna get stuck in another 10 months worth of construction quagmire, and that's why I'm saying for $40,000 with tax, we get a whole brand new trailer, and for $50,000, less than $100,000, we get the whole thing, and then we have the trailer left over that we could do something with or sell it. You know, I mean, it's an investment that we want to keep sending money out the window.
My question is it gonna get solved again like it just did? I mean, we have a process that we go through with the finance department, and it's been solved by the mayor. So if we make Commissioner Dunn's motion for the $50,000, which we've already done once before, and it got approved through the commission, and it still hasn't happened.
Well,
That's my question.
how about we tie to her motion? I want to amend it. Sorry, go ahead.
So my question to you is, can it get solved again by the mayor for another 10 months?
I'm just gonna, so we passed the construction and renovation of county-owned buildings policy back in item 1, initial concept of projects, D. The General Operations Committee will amend the conceptual plan if necessary and include any potential options or alternatives to decrease the cost for the final project if required. So, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, we're in the process of decreasing the costs of what's being proposed. So, I think we're in our bounds right there, because we've, now, as far as Section 2 architects, I know the county mayor has paid $5,000 for an architect so far that we've spent, but we also do have another quote from another architectural firm. So if we don't, I guess my question is, are we obliged to have to use that originally contracted architectural firm that's given us the $350,000, $650,000 construction options, or can we move to the quote that's been in this packet for at least 8 months or 10 months from the architect Commissioner Klein had walked away with, that had $13,000 total architectural design and architectural design and fee. What is that process? I'm like picking that architect. And
I guess as part of this, we need to know if there's any money left in the $20,000 that was already.
there's $15,000.
Okay, so we need to account for that as well.
Correct. So that's could be reappropriated.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying.
We have to probably look at the contract and see the verbiage inside of it. Understand what we could do with the architect.
It's not about them time.
I just know,
down, it's about us tying us down
we
to our
had
rules.
approved money, you had an architect quote for 10 months that was pretty reasonable, and the mayor goes out and gives somebody different, and it's gonna cost more money.
We don't know what the scope was either,
Scope of what?
of the request to the architect, what he was gonna present, if it was a $650,000.
According to their emails,
We
it
got
was anything, it was $350,000 to $650,000.
So my point is,
It's in the packet.
of that 15 that's left, I don't know that contract's relevant, just go out and get a different architect to come back with your proposal.
We already got one, and we've got one, we've had it forever.
Do we need another one? I don't think these are time sensitive, are they?
So my point being, if we can choose, choices go with the architect that has the lower fee that we have to decrease the cost of the final project, go with renovating the room to decrease the cost of the final project, according to our policy, and just move on with it. That's what,
As long as that lower one meets the scope of what you're asking for, I think you're fine.
I mean, it's a full bid.
It's a full bid.
It's a design, architectural design fee, everything to bid, the whole thing in there, right here. Yeah,
My only question is to you all, it's not a legal thing, is if it meets your scope, I think you're okay.
Now, is that architect the same one we met at the courtroom?
Yeah,
Before we would do that, I would make sure that he's able to
yeah,
do that
Yeah.
because of his situation.
yeah, and I can call them tomorrow if we make that motion.
the motion's been made, and second, it's been up to $58,000 to go at that point, to knock out those two rooms. Commissioner Young.
So I wanted to address Commissioner Miller's question, because it still is hanging out there. We're doing a handout to the mayor to get this going. What prevents him from doing the same thing, dragging it again? So we're gonna do a directive from his office to, straight to the architect, because I would add to whatever motion we make to also submit something to Millersville in writing on our intentions and have them read to their city commission, so that we're all on board no matter what the mayor decides to do.
Well, we also,
They know what's coming,
we also have to approve it, you or do a new one.
but I would amend hers, the up to $50,000 to $49,999.
Why?
To keep the, well, you already got the architect.
We already got that.
Never mind,
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Just trying to stay under that limit.
Yeah, if it's under 50,000, you don't need an architect, but we need an architect anyway, because this is too complicated to not have it.
I'll amend it also just to add the trailer in there, just because I figure the length of time is gonna.
You want a minute to add $40,000 more to that for $90,000 total for a trailer and for the build out of those two rooms?
Yeah, and if it fails, it fails. I'm fine with that. Looking ahead, I feel like it's going to, take longer. And if we end up with an extra trailer at the end of the day, we could sell the trailer.
Can we make that a second motion?
I was gonna recommend that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's not
okay.
make it.
We'll keep it clean. I'll rescind, take that back.
Who gets the trailer? Does that by default become EMS's?
I'd say it goes back to the
Somebody's
county.
gotta
We're
have,
not, no, we don't have a motion for that one yet, so we can.
I just wanna let you know that's gonna be an issue too. Okay, so what we're doing.
Well, the motion Commissioner Janung made was to spend up to $50,000 and to go with that original architect estimates and for, design and builds.
On the second.
For renovating those two rooms, which was, the process started last summer or spring. And second by Commissioner Moss. Send out the budget. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. We do need to talk about the MOU because Millersville, we've already, they had an MOU that said it was invalid because their city commission did not meet about it. Even though the city mayor and the lawyer signed off on it. The county commission last August, we passed the MOU, that I believe they gave us originally. So that is actually,
Is that page 15?
in your packet. Yes.
That's our original.
Page 15 starts the original MOU that we passed last August, in order to do this. I know you guys had questions, one about, 30 days, I'm sure it's gonna be an amendment on that. My opinion is that we just go back to the original amendment.
I'll make that motion, go back to.
The original MOU that we passed. list, you know, I know that you guys might have some concerns or edits off that one, but that's my, they got a motion.
That's
and they
one
got-
motion, to go back to the original MOU.
Page 15 has the original.
Correct.
All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Miller, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Holmes, discussion on that or amendments. And Commissioner Klein, you're in the queue.
I still have a problem with the 30 days written notice.
Amended.
I would like to amend it to a full year.
So you want to amend it to 12 months?
Yeah.
True.
And that is, all right, that's,
A full year from the time that we inhabit it.
well, section 5, duration termination. This MOU shall remain in effect until terminated by the party. The party may terminate this MOU within 30 days of written notice to the other party. So you want to change that to say, 12 months.
12 months.
I would have to add language to that too, the reason why, to give the county time to respond to find another facility.
Right.
I find explanations create problems.
Okay.
If you want it 12 months, just leave it at that, that's my
Okay.
advice.
All right, so that is an amendment by, is there anything else you wanted to add to that? We'll go ahead and, is there a second to that amendment?
Yeah, I'll second that. I was gonna amend his amendment and try to clean it up. You're gonna do them separately?
We'll do them separate.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, Commissioner Jones.
I would like to amend number 4 under, well, it's the first number 4.
Maintenance
County,
repairs. You talking about-
yeah, maintenance and repairs. The county should be responsible for ongoing maintenance and repairs of the improvements set out in section 2 above made to the facility as long as the county occupies the building. I want to change that to the city of Millersville shall be responsible for the ongoing maintenance of repairs of the improvements made by the county.
So in section 4 of this city, strike out county. section
Yes,
2.
because it's their building. They're gonna own whatever we bless them with.
Correct.
They're going to keep,
Permanent, perpetuity.
yes,
Correct.
that's theirs.
And they're going to use that for their staff to live in.
Yes,
So the city shall be responsible for the ongoing maintenance, repairs, and improvements
made by the county,
made by the county.
of any improvements made by the county.
It says, and repairs of the improvements made by the county.
It's set out in section 2 cover that, because I don't know what section 2 is, right off the top of my head.
Improvements, right there, 2 sections above it.
No, but I didn't know how to
The
do that.
county agrees to make all necessary upgrades to the facility to ensure it is code compliant, suitable for uses in EMS station. All improvements shall be made at county expense. Do we need to narrow that,
Sleeping
section
quarters.
down?
Should you add sleeping quarters? Because then you might be responsible for the bays and everything else that's in there.
Well, since this,
That's handled in the whereas, right? As to why we're doing this?
says to that part of the improvements to the facility. So if we're not improving the bays,
The county recognizes the need for certain improvements to bring the facility up to code and make it suitable for its intended purpose as stated above.
So, Tim, I don't know what you're reading. Section 4 talks about section 2. Section 2 is labeled improvements. So, okay, so talking about code compliant, suitable for uses in EMS station is what it says. Section 2, on page
Could you
16.
put parentheses,
So-
sleeping quarters? Define it?
Mr. Law Director, we need to, is this language fine that it is, or do you think we need to narrow the scope of this for those 2 bedrooms?
Well, the intent is that we'll be responsible for any EMS-related items that need to be addressed, so we could maybe.
But what they say, well, we want a sprinkler system, because they're talking about a sprinkler
Right.
system.
So we could, I would change it to all named improvements, and that ties it back into that, section, and all named improvements shall be made at county's expense. So it would be specifically necessary upgrades to the facilities that code compliant and suitable for uses in the EMS station.
Should we say, EMS sleeping quarters?
So are you combining this to mine?
So,
We're keeping them separate, I thought, so keep
So-
it clean.
all you've done so far is 4.
Yeah, but we didn't pass it, did we?
Not yet, but 4, you can't do 4 unless you do 2.
Okay,
You have to do 2.
okay.
So let's look at 2.
So you want to change facility to sleeping facility?
Sleeping quarters. I mean, that's,
Sleeping
Commissioner,
quarters.
I mean, that's what we're really, are we doing it in the bay? Is that, I don't know.
Are they keeping the ambulance inside the base?
Okay, y'all let me know if that's what you wanna do,
Yes.
because this is gonna create a bigger change.
To the sleeping quarters.
The sleeping quarters, there may be some 1-hour walls in the wall of the sleeping quarters.
What about
Still
in the
sleeping
bay?
quarters.
Nothing in the bay. Nothing in the
Still pertains to sleeping quarters.
Still
So
pertains-
that's a
So
good
they're complaining there's an ambulance there, but when it's into the sleeping quarters.
Yeah, and that's not a problem. The doors will be changed as part of it so that they will be sealed.
That's the sleeping quarters.
And there'll be 1-hour doors rather than the hollow core residential.
County agrees to make all
bedrooms.
that, so we said the county agrees to make all necessary upgrades to the sleeping quarters.
Okay,
Yeah.
before we make that
That's
motion,
what-
my suggestion is to change the term facility to sleeping quarters throughout the MOU.
Yes. So, Mr. Jones, do you want to incorporate that as part of your amendment to update anywhere it says facility to say sleeping quarters?
I'm looking at it. Not in number one, it wouldn't fit.
Let's go ahead and do this.
It
We got a
wouldn't
motion,
fit.
we have a motion and a second for, what you want to do in number 4.
Who seconded mine?
Terry.
Anybody?
Commissioner Moss.
You did, Terry? You second my number 4 to make the Millersville responsible for repairs?
Yeah.
Two seconds.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so we've made Tim's change. In other words, the city shall be, on section 4, the city shall be responsible, for the ongoing maintenance, repairs, and improvements made by the county, set out in section 2 above. Made to, not getting there yet, it's gonna say sleeping quarters as long as the county occupies them. All right, back to number 2, county, law director's, suggestion is anywhere it says facility, change that to sleeping quarters.
You can't do
Or
that for
living
number
quarters.
1. You can't do that for number 1, it won't fit. It has to stay the facility. Well, look at whereas the county desires to continue using the facility. Can't do it under the second whereas either. I mean, I guess you can, using the sleeping quarters as an emergency medical service station, it doesn't fit. That's what I'm saying. It has to be selective where we do it. You just have to catch them all.
It's referred to as the facility, or you could put facility sleeping quarters.
Yeah, I can do that.
That'd be cleaner.
Repeat what you said, Commissioner Jones.
Facility sleeping quarters.
Just number 2?
Yeah, where it
And
says,
number 4.
and number
And
4,
number
and then at
4.
the top, where it says whereas, it says referred to as the facility, I
Yeah.
would say facility sleeping quarters.
For number 2 and number 4, yeah.
In the whereas-y stuff at the top.
Does that need a second? Who made that? Is that your motion, Mary?
Yeah.
Second.
You got that, Eric?
Yes.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any other changes?
I was gonna read through the rest and see if it needed to be put anywhere else, but. I had a question on number 6 for the law director. Insurance and liability. The county shall maintain appropriate insurance coverage for its use of the facility and shall provide proof of such insurance to the city. Is that necessary? Is that covering our employees in their facility, or don't they maintain some kind of insurance that any kind of guest that walks in there is covered, or?
It doesn't relieve them of the obligation. It says we will maintain appropriate insurance, so it would be any insurance related
That
to
we
the
deem
operation of the EMS.
Okay,
Well, not necessarily what we deem appropriate, it's what's legally required.
okay, but you don't see any problem with leaving it as is there?
No,
It's not extra that they're doing?
no.
Okay.
And we've
okay.
got a policy that's gonna cover this anyway, so it's not like it's an added expense.
Okay.
It's just, we will show them that we are covered if they ask for it.
So that needs to stay facility also.
The only suggestion I might make there is add this language, provide proof of such insurance to the city upon request.
Mary, you okay with that being added into your motion?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we already passed yours.
Yeah,
So, does that need to be a new?
yes.
Hang on. Hang on,
Commissioner
the
Jones made a
superintendent.
motion to use, language from law director on section 6.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Jones.
Does that need to say facility, sleeping quarters?
That's gonna be a change in there. I'll take care of all that.
It's gonna be a document, slight change for him. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any other questions on this MOU?
Hang on, yes.
This is salty to me, folks, when you don't do things behind closed doors.
They just do them at the Freedom Conference.
The meeting lasts 10 minutes, 15 minutes for an agenda like this, there's something wrong.
Yeah, I'm okay with
So do we need to do a motion to approve?
Yes.
Pending.
motion to approve it as amended.
Yes, but this one, you do a motion for this, yes. This one you do. All right.
Motion to approve it as amended.
Second by Commissioner Klein, motion by Commissioner Jones, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, MOU's taken care of, recommended $3,000 taken care of. Do you want to make a motion for a purchase of a RV?
Hang on, first, I want to ask, with this, can this go to Millersville City Council, does that need to be formal motion too? Because I want it to go to them.
Second by Commission.
They've got to execute it for it to be valid, so, yeah, they don't have to go to them.
Can it go to them before it goes to commission, to let the commission know that they're okay with this? Can that happen?
It can happen either way, it doesn't matter.
Can we do that, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I mean, we
It would expedite it on,
I can have
for
that.
them, and I know that they're interested in getting it expedited, so
you know, the law
let's
director,
please
I mean,
run it by them and then.
are you asking the law director to send them a copy before it goes into full commission?
Yes, and get some feedback, and that way we can announce it from the commission for the vote to help encourage the vote. Because if people don't know that they're okay with this, they may vote against it.
Well, it's a one and done thing, yeah.
We don't know. We don't know that they're okay with it.
That's what I want to give them an opportunity to do. We could approve it in the full commission, send it to them.
Yes,
and then they can say
I
no.
will run it by them, and I will report back to you all what the outcome
But
of that.
we're sending this to the full commission, and it's gonna be on the agenda.
Anyway.
Regardless of what happens, you understand that?
Okay.
There will be no changes.
Yeah, yeah.
This is going to the full commission
No,
as is.
that's fine.
Okay. Just wanna make
I'm doing it to try to get more votes.
I understand.
May or may not.
What we just did tonight, I don't care what happens, it's gonna be on the full commission agenda, because that's the procedure.
Okay,
There's nothing we can do to change that.
just a question.
Yep. So, we definitely can send it to Millersville to give them a heads up. So, if there's any, they can discuss if they meet, I don't know if they'll next meet, but try to speed it along before we meet on the 17th, 2 weeks from tonight.
I'm all about speeding it along.
Did you have any? We're still on this, Millersville. So, did you want to, you were discussing buying an RV.
Yeah, and
Is that something you would try to do?
And it won't hurt my feelings, I think it's a smart thing to do. I am gonna make the motion that we purchase this, RV. It's a 2024 new model, 3910, similar to the one we have. It's got 4 twin beds that can convert into a king size, and then 1 queen size on the opposite side. It's got 1 bathroom instead of 2 bathrooms, and it's $35,985. It's a brand new trailer, 2024 model, and
It's second. All right, you have a motion, you have a second. Commissioner Miller.
It's gonna take, if we can go with this architect, it's gonna take 3 to 4 minutes to do that. What was the cost? Like
It's
for
gonna be
$3,000?
$40,000. It'll be about $9,000 versus $40,000.
So you wanna spend $40,000, then we don't know who it's gonna belong to, and say it goes to, because it's going for an EMS agent, goes to EMS, I mean, I can't spend $40,000 of taxpayers' money.
It'll take a year to pay that off.
Yeah.
Of what we rented, just so you know, I mean, just being clear. 12 months.
yeah.
Commissioner
I
Mullins.
can't support that.
If he's gonna get one for 30-something thousand, we're paying 50,000 for this, get this room built, that's about $90,000.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good.
I looked at it as 90,000 versus 650,000.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it, but I just know how many obstacles are constantly thrown in front of us, and
We can always deal with it next month if we need to. I guess, you lose. Now, we're just like, hey, what's the 2 poison pills? One, right now, we're going with the cheaper option, the one that's gonna, you know, it's do the room, hopefully next couple of months, and only spend a couple of more $1,000 renting it, for your gambling and buying an RV, it would take you a month, an entire year to rent it, to pay the same amount. No, it's still, which still could be the best option, I don't know, but I don't think we need to make that decision personally.
And like I said, I'm fine with it going to a vote and getting voted down, but I just never thought we'd be at a $30,000, cost on rental fees
Well, we're at
either.
$33,000 now.
Yeah, I never thought we'd be there either, so
I know,
I'm
I
just
get it.
looking ahead and
I get it.
yeah, it is an investment that I was hoping we could get back, but now I see the tangle that it could be and who gets it after it's all said and done. But people have asked me, you know, what would it cost to buy the one we're in now? Since there is no equity in that. That's a rental trailer that they will not sell. I've already asked that question too. You think you could, you know, gain some ground there, but you can't. So the cheapest option was to purchase this other trailer.
I was at David Long's office a week and a half ago, and he got really curious about equal type, and he saw some on the used market for $25,000.
Yeah, I know.
I'll tell you the one I have on my property.
You got a motion by
today.
Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Klein. Is there any further discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
So, there's, 5 no's and 2 yeses.
I'm okay with that.
We're gonna just let that one lie for right now, but good try.
Yep.
All right, I think we can move on from the Millersville EMS station. So we're gonna send, I guess, to the, Budget Committee, Mr. Law Director for next week's agenda is the idea for, up to $50,000 as well as approving, as well as the architect. So his information's in here, so that would go with it as far as our option under our policy.
Can you make a note of that for me to get with Jessica on that?
Tomorrow morning, yeah, ASAP. All right, Commissioner Miller.
I was just gonna say, we have that judge here.
Yeah, I know.
Do we wanna move up the,
I do.
okay, that was just gonna be my.
Yep, I was moving to my next thing.
Uh-huh.
We also do have Hal Hill here. Hal, you gonna take real long?
No, I'm just kind of here to see what's going on.
Well, I'm gonna give it to Hal real quick and I'll give it to you, because yours is longer.
Okay, that's fine. Whatever you want.
On business, and I didn't know if I need to be here to answer questions.
Yes, well, you're actually on new business on, item B, so without objection, I'm gonna skip around. I know this is unorthodox, but, I wanna go to item B under new business, and we're skipping D under old business and A.
Consider it.
I agree.
People that have been working all day and.
I agree, I agree.
I've been 8:20.
Do it.
So, do you have a motion to suspend the rules for how to come up?
Motion
Motion by
to
Commissioner
suspend.
Hines, second by Commissioner Bill, all in favor say
Aye.
Now, can you give us an update on the Hendersonville Health Department project update that took up 200 pages of our, agenda?
Real quick, looks like Warrior Construction as of right now, unless they're doing something on 2,260,000. 2,229. 2,229. 2,229 million.
And that was under budget.
Yeah, by 600 and 700,000.
So, we're looking in the clear where we're not in danger if we have to spend more money.
Under budget?
Under
It's
budget.
amazing what you get when
When
you play
are-
hardball.
When are they gonna put their shovel in the ground?
Good job, sir.
Hoping to have everything signed by the 20th.
The first one?
Yeah.
Pretty
How much
much
under?
doing demo.
How much
Well,
under?
I think we're already under budget.
All right, well, that's perfect. So that kind of is why this is on here, you know, Scott asked me to put this on, well, on here as well. So that kind of covers what the question we had last month, that it's going to be under budget. So, I don't think there's anything for us to do on this, so.
Well,
Yes,
I
sir,
just,
no?
I just have, if you don't, there's a certain date that you have to have your shovel in the ground. So, are you gonna meet that deadline so you don't lose the state dollars?
Yes, as of, when we met Thursday,
We're supposed to have everything signed by the 20th. We're supposed to start demo first week of June.
When's groundbreaking? Will you let us know?
Perfect, awesome, thank you, Hal. All right, good, well, without further objection, we're going to remove item B under new business off of the agenda. Now, back to, let's go to item D, new courtroom build out, motion for discussion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? This was, I know this came up last week in budget. Commissioner Klein might have to give us a little update here. I know that this was a question, that Scott wanted us to put on here as far as like that. The $2 million that was budgeted last, cycle for capital projects, for this, but there were some changes last week in budget, if I'm not mistaken, based on this.
The changes didn't get, I mean, they got voted on and they failed. So it's still a $2 million allocation for the courthouse. Scott has.
So in my packet,
Yes, your update.
there's a proposal from Wold. We would have had to, but the other architect has a family matter he has to deal with, so he pulled out of giving a proposal for it. After going through with Wold, they were originally gonna do 7.5%, would have been $112,500, but because I had all the plans and everything, they gave me a $27,500 discount, so we're only paying $85K.
How do you feel about that?
I had zero problems with them on the archive roof. I'm super comfortable with it.
No, I know they're a good organization. We've just never priced them against anybody.
Right.
And I don't know, are we in such a hurry that we can't get, I mean, I know Robin didn't come through because of his family issues, but are we in such a hurry that we can't solicit another architect or two?
I'm not saying that we're not in a hurry, but I also we talked to different architects, one that doesn't do interiors, and then Robin pulled out, and then Wolf was the one that gave me one before this time period.
How much savings for it?
It was $27,500.
It just feels like still a lot of money because they're basing it off of a $2 million.
They're based on a 1.5 construction cost.
Yeah,
And it's
which
5.6% for the entire project, which you're gonna get a lot more from another architect.
But a lot of that was plans, wasn't it?
Yeah, I still think it's fairly arbitrary. I mean, the 1.5.
Was a lot of it planned?
What do you mean?
A lot of that cost was planned from the original build-out?
Well, no, I mean, but what we've got there is an empty shell that just needs to have wall surfaces.
We'll bring it back into order here. Here's option. We don't have any other options. I mean, other than going out and getting more architects. So, I mean, basically, I'd entertain a motion if you want to do that.
I would make a motion that we get two other prices from architects. There's 100 out there.
We already tried that, right?
No, we tried with one, and his wife has cancer. And so she's in hospice, and he just didn't want to take it on right now. So there are other architects that can do this. We just have, we had one that didn't do space planning. We've got Wald, who's a full-service architectural and engineering firm, and this is a very simple thing, this fitting this courtroom.
We've got a motion, do we have a second for that?
I'll second it.
Yes, suspend the rules.
Suspend the rules.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good.
I've been sitting here listening to you all night, and I'm planning on a criminal court today. Right here. You guys have it tough. Last June, we moved into the courthouse. And I realized it was a different county commission, and I know there's a lot of different thoughts on that, but we're there. And out of your control, we had a governor appoint another trial judge in that period of time. So we've got 4 trial judges now and 3 court members. Okay, we've been operating that way ever since September, so we're going on the 9th month, and we're scrambling around. And if it's taken all this time to get here, what's going to happen when we go further? We've got 2 jury trials tomorrow, child sex abuse cases, rape of a child, And, we're okay, but it's just this continued scrambling around, and I'm going down to the jury assembly room, every day, and it's really not a real good courtroom, security-wise or technology-wise. I'm just trying to express to you, it's very difficult. Very difficult. And the two courts that try the most cases are my courtroom and Judge Nichols' courtroom, criminal cases. And it's just very, very difficult with security and technology. And if that's what you all want to do, that's fine. I just wanted to let you know we're scrambling. We're really scrambling. And it's taken 8 months, and we haven't got the first step yet. So I just wanted y'all to hear that.
Thank you, Judge. Second order.
I'd like to make a comment. I haven't been on here very long, but I've watched you all do your work for the last long time. And again, this reminds me of like what happened with Millersville. It seems like, you know, you have the architect that you had architects bid, one dropped out, and you got this one, and now you're wanting to go out and find all these other people, and he's telling you it's probably going to be a higher cost for an architect to do this. So to me, it's one more delay, and it looks like I can understand why, and I appreciate that you want to save money, but I'm kind of thinking, what are you looking for? Because you've got the information, you've got a price. It's not, to me, some of these architects have charged a lot more money that, you know, like these EMS plus stations and all this, the architectural plant, the things they've done is a lot of money. And if this is a good price and you feel comfortable with this, why not go with it? I'm trying to understand why you keep delaying all this stuff, because it seems like, you know, pretty soon, you know, someone else will be making the decision for you, and, you know, what do you want to do? So why you keep kicking this can constantly? And I'm just trying to understand your thinking. I'm listening. I'm trying to absolve it all, but this seems like a good bid. The other two people dropped out, and that's no fault of, you know, it's not our fault, but if you keep going, it's like shopping for something everywhere, trying to get the best bid, and you might take you months to do that. So, in my opinion, you just stick with what you got, keep things going, and get the ball rolling here. I don't know.
All right, thank you. Tim, real quick.
Why is it taking 8 months to get this far?
I have no idea. It was approved last year. To your point, I mean, Mr. Dunn, in all fairness, is not this committee. It's delayed and they kick the can down the road. So, I mean,
and I'm not saying it is your fault.
Okay, so, yeah. I mean, this is the first time we've seen this.
Yeah,
We made a decision, I guess. We tried to move it fast as we can. So, I mean, it's pretty frustrating.
Do we have a way to point the finger at why it has taken this long? Is it just the process of getting bids?
It was approved by the budget committee last May for this month.
So whose hands was it to go get the bids?
I don't have an answer.
Wasn't that
So the way that I inherited it when I started was, hey, there's $2 million to do this. Talks fell through, and
with JD
into last year in the fall sometime with the original architect for the courthouse. When I inherited it, I went back to those people to figure out what the problem was and why talks went through. So I figured it out, went through their contract to see what they were speaking of, went to our law department, they blessed off on the changes that I wanted to make to it to appease that architect. Then I went back to the original architect they reviewed everything for 2 weeks, spoke internally, and they decided that they did not want to pursue internally for whatever reason, which was fine. And after that point was talking with the first architect. They said they didn't do interiors. They started giving me recommendations. Then I finished the archive roof, top with wool after that because I had good experience with them. They said, hey, we'll meet you, we'll go over everything, gave them everything. It took them 3-4 weeks to give me this. And then about a week after Walt, we met with the third, but no fault of his own, he had to pull out for that. And that's kind of
The
where
reason why I'm asking, Mr. Chairman, is
it seems like it was dropped.
well, the
right
reason why I'm asking is
talks were done.
to understand how the process is going, to think that it's not gonna take that much longer to shop around for more, I'm probably just gonna withdraw my second on this, because it's gonna take months to go on and shop around more.
Well, we could put a limit on it. If we don't have any other architects even interested within 3 weeks. Because I'll go out and hunt architects, if that's what it takes.
It says here, we propose a fixed fee of $85,000, and that's for everything, right?
Correct.
It's fixed, it's not, we're gonna do this and then maybe add 10,000 later. It's fixed, so.
Does that include site visits and approval of?
Sure.
Contract, or construction administration, design, everything.
I understand the spirit that we're coming from, Commissioner Hahn, I do, I get it, we keep going back and forth on the same. It says, we understand the maximum project budget is $2 million, or estimating construction cost at $1.5 million, and then they say $85,000. So, like you said, savings at $25,000, I say we just stop the madness and just approve this and get it started.
Is that a motion?
Yes, that's a motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Moss. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
So, 6-1.
I did it.
All right. Thank you, Judge. I do, I just think, I don't think anybody else needs to say for
Or I can.
You go, we're gonna keep going.
Okay,
Now we're back to item D on the old business. I'm
Let me
gonna,
ask you, do you wanna revisit this, or can I remove it?
we're gonna,
Put it on my.
we're gonna remove, new courthouse room build out, we're gonna remove it for right now unless when we need to bring it back. We'll put it in your-
He's gonna put on his report, just an update.
So he's gonna be on the report, so we're gonna remove it from our agenda. Item D, without objection, I'm gonna move that to old business for next month, under old business, old business item D, without objection, I'm gonna move to old business for next month.
Okay.
All right.
Commissioner Moss has a question.
Commissioner Moss.
Are we still in the new courthouse?
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, I need to get a mailbox for these guys over at the new courthouse. Right.
Commissioner Moss had a good question. I guess employees are complaining about the mailbox from
They need
the
an
mail
hour.
receptacle for how that is handled.
For all the employees?
Yes. They need
Nobody
an
has a mailbox over there?
There's no mailbox in front. They have to go over to the old courthouse.
So the mail, yeah, they don't have a way to receive mail at the new courthouse.
Well, now they got one in the basement where you can receive it, but they need something that goes out. They have to go all the way.
Send their mail.
Oh, like a drop off.
Send their mail out.
Yeah,
Oh, so you're talking about a big blue?
yeah, like we got here.
That would be, actually, that's federal. The mayor's,
Post office.
So I didn't get my,
The United States Post Office will put that out there.
so,
can I go to the post office and see what it is?
do we need to make a motion to have the mayor put something out there for the courthouse, or is that?
They would have to.
For the mail to
The mayor,
address any
the
mailing
mailman.
issues with the new courthouse.
Okay, I don't know what that looks like.
Make a motion to have the mayor,
Use
investigate
the post office.
adding a post office box in all sections.
This is not a normal project, I know, it's too hard.
What I normally see outside of courthouses is, it's, USPS, FedEx, and UPS. They all have overnight.
He's saying there's nothing
I understand that, so I don't know how deep everybody wants to get on this.
I don't know how that process goes, but
I'd like to make a motion for the mayor to get, mailbox and EPS and a FedEx going out front.
I'll second that.
all right, we got a motion, we got a second. All fair side? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Perfect, thank you.
Good job.
All right.
That's the most important business.
That's
They'll be happy. How did you hear about it?
It was over the courthouse.
I've been over to the new courthouse this week,
All
last
right, item A, under new business, disposal of surplus county property. Do I have a motion?
What, do we know what it is?
Is it in there?
There's no page number.
Okay, so never mind. I guess we don't have it.
Okay.
Was that just on the form?
Huh?
That was just on the form?
I guess,
Skip it.
I'm gonna remove that. Thought we had something, so might be that, might be not, see if I can check. All right.
177.
Item C, new business, Children of People Building, that resolution, page 320. So I guess this is mainly for form, asking the question, what next? We call this an offer, because this is just to approve the sale of it. Which did pass, be a resolution, and by the full commission. That was unanimous, by the way. Go ahead and.
I believe we kicked it on here as new business because it'd be tight and waiting on, we wanted it to be ready to go once we got the funding to whatever entity was gonna make the request for a purchase offer.
That has not happened yet, I guess, so I would
No.
expect, so do we want to keep this in a whole business or just?
That would be my recommendation.
So item C, we keep,
Yeah,
for the whole business.
He's waiting for the appropriation.
Mr. Chairman,
appropriation, yeah.
Go ahead.
Wait on the-
I just would like to hear what that date was, because he thought there was an offer. There was an offer, and he said there was.
Well-
You making a motion for discussion?
Yes.
You're seconding, all fair side?
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
So he's asking me if there was an offer. Well, it was 100,000 from opioid funds that we would match, and then they were gonna pay $86,000. So the amount was $186,000 total to buy the property.
So what are we waiting on? I knew that part. but what
It
else?
needs to be a bona fide ask from them. I can't be doing a two-part, county's giving me this money,
Yeah.
I'm
So-
giving you this money.
You're
So
right.
however those funds are gonna get distributed,
Does
it needs to get distributed so they can make a bona fide.
Does the entity know what they need to do to make the offer?
So I understood that,
Hold on, one question at a time.
yeah.
You ask a question.
Does the entity?
Scott, what is the answer to that?
Yes, they know what they need to do. They're
So
just
they
waiting
just-
on the appropriation of the funds.
Right, they have to wait on the, because opioid it has to be appropriated, and then we're going through budget, because that has to be approved through budget as well.
So budget has not approved this money.
I understood they did, but I'm
So
second.
more than likely, they're gonna come back next month in June and ask for this, to this committee, more than likely.
That's my next
The
one.
way
Let it come back to this
that's
committee.
said to me, it would be next month.
Right,
Okay.
When-
yeah.
It will come here.
With-
To answer your question, we're keeping this in old business, there's nothing
Yes.
to discuss here.
Yes.
Thank you, we're gonna move on. Item E,
Did we do A?
yes, we did. Item E,
We did the disposal of the county?
No, we went over it, there's nothing there.
Okay, all right.
item E, vacated Gallatin Old Courthouse, 100 Public Square, status of the inventory by county mayor's office. We've been asking for 4 months for the county mayor to inventory this, and he's not done it yet. And he said in March that he would be here in May to do this, and he did not come tonight to do that. And so it'll be 5 months next month on that request, if the county mayor shows up to do that next month. There is a photo in your package that you might want to refer to.
Mr. Chairman, we gave a timeline for that too, correct?
Yeah, it was today.
Yes, so it was today. Commissioner Klein wanted me to add this specifically on page 324, so motion for discussion.
Motion, second.
Motion by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, Commissioner Klein. Please talk about 324.
There, I have a person who took video of, it was Thursday, I think, the 17th of April, that this person took video of a whole bunch of SWAT team people who were using the building, I think, for practice practice or maneuvers or something.
It was.
And that's not the big deal. The big deal is that truck and trailer with couches and chairs, and in the videos, we saw microwaves and other things that were supposed to be put on an inventory list, and it looks like they went to the dump.
Or being taken.
Is that Mr. Lauderdale, it's gonna be a violation of our policy?
Yes,
Okay, it's a violation of our policy.
based on what I've heard, yes.
Would, it be appropriate to make a motion to, I guess, have you send a letter to the county mayor to cease and desist on the destruction of county property, without being properly inventoried?
Yes, I can, whatever you want me
Does
to
that
do.
seem to fall in the purview here of Commissioner Carlin's concerns? Because, I mean, it's supposed to be inventoried, so people don't put it on surplus list and they can use it, and then go to gov deals, but then it's such as being thrown away. It could be junk, I don't know. But that wasn't what the policy says. Right?
Well, I believe the policy says we own it and we have to account for it. And however we get rid of it.
We don't know what's happening to it.
Right.
We don't know what's there.
Right, because we don't have an inventory that was supposed to be done today.
Fast for 4 months. I was Jones.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask for a very specific ask. What exactly do you want me to convey to the mayor?
I thought what you said was good. Cease and desist any destruction of county property that hasn't been properly inventoried and gone through committee.
Why is stuff being thrown away or being removed without being inventoried, like reporting? I don't know. I mean, I don't understand, because he's not here to answer the question.
These are SWAT people.
This violates the policy, but it's happening.
Sheriff, will the sheriff not be aware?
I don't know about that. I have nothing to do with the sheriff. And I know, but, Jim,
Is there a way to add to that to find out what was thrown away?
well, that's part of the inventory.
No, we're telling them don't do it anymore, but we also want to ask the question, what is this? What got thrown away? Like,
Yeah,
what are you doing?
I mean, we could ask for an inventory of stuff that was removed and where it went. I mean, this is a problem with the comptroller, I think.
This was,
I mean, if it's been thrown away,
So, you're not gonna get it if it's the dump. Right, so let's not,
If it went
let's
to the
not
dump.
spin our wheels on this.
if it went to the dump.
I don't know, but it's like, if it's gone, it's gone. So it's not fruitful discussion at this point to keep on hammering that.
It may have gone to a different department without our process.
Luckily, it was being thrown, and
No doubt.
it was being thrown in a paper like you're going to that.
Point being, Commissioner Klein brought this attention, wanted this on the agenda. This doesn't seem like this, we've been asking for an inventory here for 4 months, it's not happened yet. It's supposed to happen tonight, it hasn't happened yet, and stuff's just being thrown away. Where's the inventory process? It seems like the policy's been violated, we're not doing what's required of us, and that we have set forward. So county mayor's gone down what looks like to be an incorrect path, by appearances, no idea, we may be right or wrong on that, don't know. But we need to get back on the right path, correct?
Yes, but I'd like to ask the attorney, if it was a vehicle and the vehicle disappeared, what would be the repercussions? I mean, a vehicle's worth $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. We don't know what disappeared, so we don't know what the worst was, but it seems to me that the state has fairly strict requirements that when we own materials, that we have to account for it when we either destroy it or sell it, or, I mean, we go through this every month where we had it at item A, right here.
Well, we have to approve it.
And we have to approve when we're getting rid of county property. So I'd like to hear what the legal requirements are and what the legal ramifications are.
Yes, law record.
Using your scenario, that's the property, so what would you do with the property?
Yeah.
Does it take 13 votes, though, or is it a clear violation? It doesn't take 13 votes.
I want to make sure I'm clear here. Are we entertaining this as a possible motion?
That's just a question.
Yeah, you'd need some sort of vote, probably.
Like, if this stuff is busted or broke or something, you can't put that in inventory. We don't know that. It
One,
could be
we don't know.
That's the point.
We don't know, that's the point. It was supposed to be inventoried first.
And if it's busted and dirty and you want to just put it on inventory?
Maybe you could figure out who these people are and
It's
ask
just
them
about
to put it in.
procedure. They didn't go through the procedure to know if it's busted or broke. It was supposed to be inventoried per our directive 2 months ago, and it never got done. They
Well,
bypassed.
I don't think we're gonna solve a problem right now, because this is when we do the county mayor's supposed to be here talking about the voting process, we could have asked him, he's not here, so we can't ask him. Everything's just speculation, what is it, not now, but the point is, there's nothing we can do about it right now, other than ask the law director, send a letter, stop throwing stuff away, give us an inventory like we asked for, then we can make decisions. If it's, you can say, man, this is all junk, I'm like, great, you just don't know. But to your point, we gotta do something.
Is it possible that he misunderstood our directive to inventory, and he thinks inventorying is going through what's good and what's bad, and he's filtering through this himself? Because if so, we need to direct that further, stop, and do it the way it's supposed to be done.
My motion was to send the law director to say, stop. I mean,
Then bring it up.
there's
maybe-
nothing else we can do about it other than that.
Maybe we
I think
could-
any other discussion is fruitless at this point.
Maybe we can bring it up
Sorry to
next
be
month.
terse, but we gotta have him here.
Yeah,
And just stop, if that's,
so next month, if he's here, we could go over that with him.
so,
One would hope.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Was there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Deborah seconded. I think Chrissy seconded. Chrissy did,
I
yes.
think that when he.
All right. So we are gonna keep this on old business because we still have a report for this, entire, it'll be 5 months at this point. I'm, motion for discussion.
Second.
Second by, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 325, Commissioner Klein, you'd asked for this to be put up on the agenda.
There's still a lot of debris from the 2 outbuildings of the Draper house that were demolished. It's unsightly, it's our property, we're being bad neighbors, and it should have been hauled off when they were stopped from destroying the Draper house and the post office. It's been sitting there for 2.5 years. How do we, I've twice tried to take it through budget for a maximum of $10,000 to clean it up and the creek bank, and it's failed twice. What can we do to get the mayor to
This
clean
is
up?
county property, that is similar to this private property,
This is county property.
so it's not the neighbor who owns the
Mr.
creek.
Not Mr. Singh.
I'd like to correct that. Some of it is on Mr. Singleton's property.
I said
Some of it has
is on private
migrated over to Mr. Singleton's property.
Originally, the buildings were on our property. I don't know what happened the day that the demolition crew were there, if they spread it or from the floods. We know from the floods that a lot of this debris moved because it moved into the creek. So that's one of the things we're trying to prevent. But there's broken glass, there's sheet metal roofing, it's a liability.
Sure, so
On Mr. Singleton's
So this
property.
is junk, needs to be moved, partly on private property, partly on public property. It's the county mayor's job to do it. Commissioner Moss, do you think that would, as far as our maintenance department, could go out there with the trailer and take this stuff to the dump? Would that be your experience? I mean, you think it's gonna cost us any money to do this, or it's just time and?
Well, if we take it to, it won't cost the county nothing. They
Correct.
take it dump it.
But I mean, we don't need, I don't think we need an estimate to ask to do this. This should not be a monetary cost. It
No.
should be a directive to the county mayor as a deal office, go clean up county property. I think that's with our purview. Do I hear a motion from you?
That would be my motion.
Second.
All right. Mr. Law Director, I don't know if we
Thanks,
need
gonna be running along with it.
another resolution for this, or is this?
Could maybe do this.
Well, we just, you gotta babysit everybody.
Just think we can get that track.
Fine. So,
Oh, you can drive right to it.
you got a motion, we got a second. Just, commission, does that need to go to the full commission to do that, or is that something you just instruct the county mayor to do?
Yeah.
I believe I can just speak from Jen Island.
They could do
Yeah,
it.
but it's also private property too.
It's loaded over there.
Loaded over.
It's loaded over from.
It's trespassing unless we got permission is the problem.
I think it's.
Oh, he does want it. He does want it.
I'm not saying that, but you're asking an attorney.
Pending permission of the private property owner.
Okay.
permission that, to your satisfaction of the law. For liability purposes.
We can work on getting a written permission to clean up.
Do you have a form letter we can give to Mr. Singleton to sign?
No.
Okay.
I can just get him to write a statement or
Yes.
something that says it.
Commissioner Jones is gonna follow up with the property owner to give us permission.
Yeah, and I'll tell the mayor that I'll be more than glad to work with them on getting a release to go onto that guy's property.
Does this need to go to full commission, or is this something that we?
I don't think it does.
Okay, well, you let us know if it does.
Enough that, yeah,
We're
I'll.
approving pending the water records opinion on.
It is on the county.
Yeah, well, I'm just waiting to make sure I change it again.
They don't do it.
All right, any further muddy water here, just for clarification on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. You can let us know about the vehicle. All right.
We know it's on his property.
I guess we're gonna remove this from the agenda, but maybe we can get a report to see, I don't, you let us know what we don't have enough for.
The debris cleanup?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm gonna briefly know, so
I
I'm
don't-
going to,
I don't really
remove
know the
this. Or,
I may have it.
I'm gonna keep this up.
Go get it if you want to. You can have it.
So, hey, guys, bring it back in order right here, but we're gonna keep that debris cleanup on all business just for June, just to get a, clarification, see what happens. All right, item G is the cocktail flood mitigation, pages 326 through 325. This is born out of just some discussions. I want to thank, one, Commissioner Jones, for coordinating with TDOT, TDAC, and Commissioner Klein, on your work there, and myself and Commissioner Miller helped you a little bit as well. We've been out there and slogged around the rain multiple times, filling the creeks. But I know I appreciate Tim calling TDOT, TDAC, and working, and you and David working with Mr. Suddeth on this. You know, we had asked him for a plan. Mr. Suddeth had come back with a plan for our request, that he has come back with. It's actually in the budget to bring forward $100,000 ask for, up to, for some of these properties to buy them that are condemned, that are causing the flooding in the actual creek. Not other properties that want to be used for greenways. So, and that didn't need to be torn down, it had nothing to do with, causing flooding. But this is definitely a problem that we've observed. TDAC and TDOT have been out there with us, and they've agreed with these issues that we've identified, you know, individually, and speaking with them. I'm not sure if there's anything we need to do on this, but I just wanted to make this, it just makes it part of the packet. I want to thank you guys for your work and bringing acknowledgement to that, and for the stuff that helping you. We've been working on this for two years, going out there slogging this stuff. It seems like things are finally moving. Commissioner Klein, I know in budget, you said that, this was discussed during Mr. Sutter's presentation. Give us a little update. Did that get approved as far as like?
It was discussed, but there were no final decisions made on it.
As of yet.
As of
I know the budget's meeting Thursday as well, so.
Yeah.
We can always add, but I know that was part of basically to actually, those properties are sitting in the creek and causing the flooding. I mean, it's what's causing the flooding in Cottontown, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think that's a big deal, and whatever TDEC, you know, working with them on solving this flooding issues. I know that you guys have gotten TDOT and TDEC to south portion of that bridge. They cleaned it out, dredged it. The north portion of it, which is northwest, or northeast, excuse me, they sort of did a little bit up to the boundary line. That's still that huge, that's the private property we found out from the property owner.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a different thing.
It's blocking about half of the creek.
So, yeah, that's something that probably, I don't know, working out with him, I don't know. We tried 4 different months to get appropriation for $10,000 from the county commissioner to do it, and budget committee just rejected it every time.
Right.
And up to $10,000 just to clear that crap out so it's not flooding the highway.
Right.
Beyond me. But, again, so I don't think there's anything for us to do for this, but obviously just wanted to update on that.
Yeah,
just so you guys know.
Mr. Chairman, before you move on, I don't know if this is an appropriate place, but I'm asking for guidance with this. I would like to do some sort of resolution recognizing TDOT for helping us do all this. Mr. Sutter said that they're trying to get more money from the state to do things, and it would mean a lot for us to appreciate the work that they've done.
Why don't
And I
you
just want to
work with the water director's office and bring
bring to legislation, that's our thought, okay. And anybody, well,
Case in point, we're good.
but if anybody wants to help me do it,
I'll help you.
that'd be great.
You and David can
Simple,
work with law
acknowledging
director's
what they
office to
did.
prepare for legislative next week.
Okay.
Seal the door.
Remind me to put that on the agenda. I need to give my agenda out tomorrow.
Okay.
So we're removing it from this one?
Yes, for right now. So we're gonna remove item G. Item H, routine maintenance support service billing invoices to Henderson Library pursuant to resolution 1504-02, page 366. We'll take a look. Got an email from Mayor Clary saying that, it's very perplexing. 366, my fault, 366, page 366. In this page 56 email from Mr. Clary to, I guess, Mr. Shamrock, back in April, a couple weeks ago, said, the county has requested more than a year ago should propose a new agreement, that we have, they're basically saying we haven't proposed anything. And I just kind of, this one really baffled me because we've been talking about this every month since September of 2023 in legislative. We've been started talking about it in January. And we have sent multiple requests through our law director's office with following emails to their attorney on, one was a resolution change, a new language, which the county law director did send a resolution, probably call it a contract or a document, but I meant a resolution. And we have sent that to them. That was rejected. I don't even know if it got to, evidently it didn't even get to BOMA. There's members who had no idea that these negotiations were going on, even though the law director and I went to their committee as requested in January of 2024 and presented this stuff to them and was rejected there. And we've been doing this ever since, sent back multiple options through legislative and just spun our wheels and finally just abandoned it. And they're like, we never heard anything. Well, and then Mayor Clary says, we're waiting for a new agreement that requested a year ago. We've sent that, how many times, Mr. Law Director? Multiple?
In the beginning, several times.
In the past year and a half, almost 2 years. So I found that just it's a false statement or just a misleading statement.
The attorney and I have both talked deeper into possibly changing ownership interests. They made requests for additional hours in lieu of some sort of acquiescence. A lot of it's been verbal back and forth, but it's not like this has not been talked about at length, at a minimum with the city attorney.
So, correct. And so I was surprised to get this, and so I asked Mr. Sipper to just get at a minimum some of the highlights of what he has sent back and forth, because their BOMA has not seen this, because basically they're reaching out saying, some of the auditors, we want to like solve this issue with the library, let's come up with an agreement so we don't have this limbo. So finally somebody's saying that after we've been there, went there 15, 18 months ago. So I'm glad to hear that. At this point, it's shocking, but the finance committee, the 3 members of it are requesting information from us. So I would like to make a motion to have the law director work directly with those members of that committee directly per their request to send all this information over to them. So any other questions on that so that we can, because they had rejected part of this with it. If I'm not mistaken, Mr. Shamrock, you might want to speak to this. We had made a motion in this committee to send invoices of what they owed us for half ownership, and they basically pretty much rejected all of that. Correct. Of what, it's in your packet.
They paid just the 4 invoices from last year.
So the total amount would have been around, I think,
It would have been
almost $25,000, their half, and they just agreed to pay $840.
It was,
So
it looks like it's just short of like $2,000.
Okay, so that's kind of like, that's based on the way the resolution was written that we've been trying to fix for almost 2 years. That's what they owe, because that's how the resolution's written. I mean, that's our water records interpretation of that. They said something different, but now we have some aldermen who are willing to say, let's settle this with you guys and do what's fair, hopefully. But I don't know, because they rejected this. But I don't know what's going to happen. So we got a motion to have the law director work directly with the members of their finance committee and forward all this relevant information to them. We got a second, but I just want to give you a history of this has come back to us again on why.
Do you know the members of the finance committee?
That is, Alderman Sass, Bergdorf, Sassy,
Bergdorf and
Evans.
Evans, okay.
Those are the members of the finance committee. They're requesting this information from us, because they didn't even know that this has been happening for
Should we
years.
go to all of them, just to keep them in the loop?
No.
I'm gonna start with the, city attorney, because I can't advise the city.
Okay, well, I know, but can you, if you're gonna start with the city attorney, my request is you need to copy all three of those aldermen on your correspondence.
Because they wanted to
Oh,
keep
yeah,
it, keep
that's
up.
fine.
Because they were directly asking for that, so I told them that, please.
So a few of them are new to the finance committee, and I know, Evans is new to the whole, Beaumont.
I understand.
So, yeah,
But
they're
that's
playing
my
catch
request,
up.
is that those three, members, Alderman Sassy, Bergdorf, and, Evans receive all the information from this packet, receive the emails from this packet, whatever, and in communication with Mr. Ray, so Mr. Ray doesn't make decisions on behalf of the city, Bubba does, and so he's their employee, they're the decision makers by the elected. And obviously, they have been kept in the dark on the decisions that need to be made, so we're going to enlighten them.
You got a second?
Yep. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
No, I mentioned anything.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Last month, Mayor Isbell said we needed new machines on the top, HVAC machines on the top of the archive building. His basis for replacing the one in September and replacing the next one is that nobody makes geothermal units anymore. I have spoken to Train. Train was the equipment originally spec'd on that. McQuay was what was put on it. I've talked to both Train and McQuay. They still make geothermal units. And there's no reason to put heat pack units that are much less efficient than geothermal units.
Well, we did already approve and push the forward, I don't know what budget did, so what did budget do?
No, we didn't.
We did, last month we approved, moving forward with approval of replacing one unit, that was a motion, that's in the minutes. We did approve that as a committee last month. Now, it was under false pretenses a little bit, because I talked to Mr. Loring, and he said what the mayor, county mayor said wasn't truthful or accurate, on what was represented and what Mr. Loring said.
Right.
So, that was a little bit of under false pretenses.
Right.
So,
So do we have any recourse to stop that?
Budget hasn't done anything, because you didn't, budget meets on Monday. So we sent it last month, approved it in April.
Okay, so maybe if I bring my information to budget.
You need to bring information to budget.
Can David Long also support you in that?
I haven't talked to Mr. Long yet, but I will.
I would highly recommend it.
Okay.
I'm just saying, it's just a little bit, things were not communicated correctly last month.
Yeah, well, I just want to say for the record that there are still geothermal, in fact, the exact same units that were spec'd for that building in 2007 are still made today.
So we got 18 years out of that. Probably won't get that
They
out
have
of the
them
other
at the
unit.
school system too, so they still make them. My husband has a patent on it.
All right, so if you could address that in budget.
I will handle it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Adjourned.